Ethan was a classic case of once bitten, twice shy. It was too late for Grace Parker's regrets now. He didn't know what possessed her to join this show, but if it was for him, then tough luck. He wasn't interested in getting back together. A broken mirror, no matter how well glued, always shows the cracks. If it weren't for the cameraman filming from a distance and her mic being off, Ethan truly wouldn't have wanted to exchange another word with Grace Parker. Ethan picked out a few items of clothing and stuffed them into a plastic bag. 5 pieces, discounted, came to less than $100. I'm going to look around elsewhere, he said. Then, as if fleeing a contagious disease, Ethan quickly departed. Grace Parker didn't follow, nor did she dare to. She had braced herself for Ethan's rejection, but hearing the words directly still caused the mental defenses she'd carefully constructed to crumble instantly. Suddenly, a member of the production crew approached, holding a phone. Ms. Parker, it's for you. They were all adults with private lives and jobs. The director had forbidden guests from having their phones, mainly to prevent online comments from affecting the filming. Before recording began, they'd handed their phones to their assistants, with instructions to return them immediately if any urgent calls or texts came through. Grace took the phone. Seeing the caller ID was Lillian Bennett, she stepped away from the camera, turned her back to the crew, and answered. Grace Parker, let me remind you, you'd better stay far away from Ethan. I won't even comment on you lowering yourself to join this trashy show behind my back. But can you have some dignity? You're a top actress, chasing after a man someone else broke up with? What are you thinking? Don't tell me after all these years, you still haven't forgotten Ethan? He's just one man. Whatever type you want, I can find for you. I just want him. Lillian Bennett paused. You two already broke up. Ethan is just an ordinary guy. Why are you still so hung up on him? This was the question Lillian had puzzled over all day. She had assumed that after 5 years, Grace Parker would have long forgotten him. She never expected Grace to join this matchmaking show for his sake. Fine, join the show. Plenty of celebrities treated reality dating shows like vacations nowadays. If she were just having fun, that would be one thing. But the moment she saw Ethan, she acted completely desperate, almost revealing their past relationship right off the bat. I'm still hung up on him, Grace Parker yelled. After shouting, a wave of grievance washed over her. Her eyes stung, and tears flowed uncontrollably. Lillian, I only want him. I already missed 5 years with him. I finally waited until he called off his engagement. We agreed in our contract, remember? As soon as I won the Grand Slam, you wouldn't interfere in my personal life. I waited so long for this day. So, don't try to persuade me, and don't force me. Lillian Bennett fell silent for a moment before speaking earnestly. Grace, I'm saying this for your own good. I watched the live stream. Ethan has clearly forgotten you. He doesn't love you, doesn't care about you. Why put yourself through this? With Grace Parker's status, she could have any man she wanted. Why insist on hanging herself from this one tree? He will care about me. If he had gotten married, I could have convinced myself to give up. But he's single now. Why can't I pursue him? His reputation is terrible. That's all fake, Grace Parker retorted. I know what kind of person he is better than anyone. You're a veteran in Hollywood. Lillian, don't you know there's more fiction than fact here? It was clear Grace Parker was digging her heels in. Lillian Bennett sighed, in frustration. Grace Parker, your fans won't approve. You could pick anyone, but you chose someone who just broke off an engagement, and you're chasing him so publicly on a variety show? Even if you don't care about yourself, think about Ethan. Both of you are trending on Twitter right now. Do you know how badly he's being dragged? His hashtag is a dumpster fire. This time, Grace Parker went quiet, but the thought of giving up Ethan because of strangers online felt unbearable. She had worked so hard precisely for Ethan. Lillian, don't try to talk me out of it. I listened to you for 5 years. This time, I want to listen to myself. Grace Parker hung up abruptly. She handed the phone back to the staff member and stared blankly in the direction Ethan had disappeared. Ethan said he wouldn't go back to an old flame, but what if he got hungry? She couldn't just give up without even trying. Ethan finished browsing the entire street, buying everything he could think of until his wallet was nearly empty. Logan and the others had been waiting in the car, so Ethan didn't feel right lingering any longer. Seeing Ethan return laden with several large bags, Logan asked curiously, What did you buy? A few clothes, a good sun hat, some medicine. What do you need that stuff for? Ethan explained, We are living on Oak Ridge Farm. After all, the director might arrange farm work for us next. No way. Logan's eyes widened in horror, but then he reconsidered. It wasn't impossible. It was only their first day, and they'd already been put to work cleaning. Better safe than sorry. Logan muttered under his breath. If I'd known it would be like this, I wouldn't have signed up. Ethan just smiled faintly without replying. His gaze flickered to the rearview mirror, accidentally meeting Grace Parker's eyes. He quickly looked away. This subtle movement didn't escape Victoria Harper in the back seat. Leaning against the window, she narrowed her eyes and let out an unhappy little tick. Perhaps everyone was tired from walking, as the ride back was silent. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling drowsy. Anyone know what Grace Parker and Ethan actually said back in Maplewood Township? Grace Parker looks really down. Did they argue? The live comments asked worriedly. I really think Grace Parker likes Ethan. You can't hide the look in someone's eyes when they like a person. Is Grace Parker crazy? Her career is taking off. Why get into a relationship now? Isn't focusing on work better? Even if she really wants a date, fans wouldn't stop her, but can't she pick someone better? Why go for secondhand goods, picking up someone else's trash? Christopher or Logan are both better than Ethan. Hope she opens her eyes and reconsiders. If Grace Parker stays fixated on Ethan, I'm unfollowing. As a career fan of Grace Parker, I'm tearing my hair out. Seriously stressed. From every angle, Ethan just isn't good enough for her. So what if they knew each other for a long time? Not good enough is not good enough. If Grace Parker insists on liking Ethan, it just proves she has terrible judgment. Grace Parker has been losing followers ever since she joined this show. Returning to Oak Ridge Retreat, it was already 5 o'clock. Ethan started tidying the kitchen to prepare dinner, beginning by washing the vegetables. There were plenty of people offering to help. Even Olivia Bennett came over, picked up 2 potatoes, and started peeling them off to the side. Ethan glanced over and casually complimented. You peel pretty cleanly, not much waste. Olivia Bennett huffed. Of course. Just peeling potatoes made her incredibly proud. I'm very good at peeling. When I peel an apple, the skin comes off in one long strip without breaking. Wow, that's impressive. Ethan praised her like a child. Seems she's not entirely useless, he thought. Olivia Bennett pouted, looking pleased with herself. Then could you help me peel the lotus root and the yam too? Remember to wear gloves when you do the yam. Got it. Olivia Bennett reached into the basket and grabbed a lotus root. Christopher came over. Olivia, let me help you. Olivia Bennett continued her work without looking up. Don't worry about me. Go do something else. Ethan suddenly figured out how to handle Olivia Bennett. Praise her. She was like a kindergartner, beaming all day after getting a little gold star. Wow, this lotus root is peeled really well. And the yam too. The vegetables are washed so clean. I didn't expect a young lady like you to be so capable. I thought you would know how to do housework. Piece of cake. Anything else you need me to do? Then maybe help clear the table outside and wash a few bowls while you're at it. Oh, and peel the garlic. For a second, Olivia Bennett questioned herself. She disliked Ethan, so why was she listening to him? But the next moment, Ethan said, you can definitely handle these little things, right? You peel the potatoes so well. I'm sure you can wash the bowls sparkling clean and tidy up the table perfectly. Ethan looked at her gently, his eyes holding a hint of paternal affection, as if genuinely dealing with a young child. Giving appropriate high praise and affirmation helps keep children confident. Ethan was so adept at handling kids because of his previous life. He and Amelia Harper never had biological children, not due to physical issues, but because Amelia didn't want any. However, the Vass Johnson Family Trust couldn't be without an heir, so they adopted a child from the Hope Springs foster home. After bringing the child home, Amelia Harper paid him no mind. His education and upbringing fell entirely to Ethan. When the adopted son first arrived, he knew nothing and had little patience. Ethan was strict with him, dedicating most of his energy to patiently teaching him, supervising his studies, hoping he would succeed academically. The adopted son didn't disappoint, achieving excellent grades and getting into the best university. But Ethan never imagined that the son he'd poured his energy into raising would eventually hate him enough to want him dead. In this life, he wouldn't marry Amelia Harper. As for that simp of an adopted son, whoever wanted to raise him could go ahead. Ethan certainly wouldn't. Hearing Ethan's praise, Olivia Bennett felt a strange twinge, a weird mix of awkwardness and uncontrollable happiness. All right then. Olivia Bennett was so easily swayed entirely due to her upbringing. The Bennett family had 3 children, with Olivia being the middle child. With an older sister above and a younger brother below, she was a neglected one in the family. Growing up, her grades were poor, and she was always slightly lacking in whatever she learned. Her parents, already dismissive, often referred to her as just a pretty face, good for nothing, not as beautiful or sensible as her older sister, nor as smart as her younger brother. In high school and university, everyone else got in on merit. She got in because her family paid. She knew that on her Instagram feed, few people truly respected her. Even her own parents looked down on her. Later, when she entered Hollywood, clamoring to debut, she managed it but was still stuck with the label of failure. She remained the person who couldn't do anything right. Nobody liked her Nobody praised her, nobody believed in her. The harder she tried to do something well, the more likely she was to mess it up. Olivia Bennet thought she had gotten used to it, but she still found herself preening over a few words of praise from others. Olivia Bennet hated Ethan, yet she couldn't help wanting to impress him. After counting the dishes and rinsing them, she started wiping the table, breaking into a sweat from the effort. Olivia wasn't actually a bad person. She just had a sharp tongue and wanted to stick up for Amelia. After all, Amelia was one of the few people on her Instagram feed who didn't look down on her. Victoria hated the heat. Sweaty, she wanted a shower. She changed into casual clothes that allowed for easier movement. Emerging from a shower, Victoria's fair skin glowed pink, her dark eyes moist. Compared to the bold, flamboyant woman in the red dress from the morning, she now had a much more approachable air. Makeup or no makeup, her face made little difference. She was stunning either way. Most striking were her long legs beneath the denim shorts. Pale, long, and smooth like the finest white jade, even her toes a delicate pink. Even Ethan couldn't resist stealing a glance. Ethan quickly looked away. He was always focused when he worked, and his serious concentration while cooking made him look sterner than usual. He glanced at the ingredients on the cutting board. Besides the leftover clam chowder from lunch, which could be used to blanch vegetables, he had also prepared sour and spicy shredded potatoes and a preserved egg and tofu soup. 3 or 4 dishes might seem few, but the portions were generous, enough for 6 people. The production crew zoomed in. On camera, Ethan focused on shredding the potatoes, his speed incredibly fast. With just the sound of clack, 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 a dozen consecutive cuts, a flick of a knife, and a plate of shredded potatoes was ready. Each strand was distinct, thin, and perfectly uniform. Even someone who couldn't cook could tell how skilled he was with a knife. Olivia Bennet, peeling garlic nearby, watched his technique. She remembered Amelia mentioning that Ethan did all the cooking at their place. Initially, Olivia hadn't thought much of it, figuring even if Ethan could cook, it probably wasn't anything special. At lunch today, the clam chowder had looked delicious, and everyone else said it tasted great, but she hadn't touched a bite, holding a silent grudge. The consequence was starving all afternoon, her stomach rumbling with craving. Now, witnessing Ethan's culinary skills firsthand, she realized Amelia hadn't been exaggerating. Ethan really knew how to cook. Victoria sidled up, carrying the cool fragrance of her recent shower. "What are you making? Anything I can help with?" "Not right now." Victoria produced an apron from somewhere. "Put this on." Ethan started to say he didn't need it, but Victoria had already brought it forward. He reached for it, but Victoria pulled her hand back. "Your hands just touched the food. Let me tie it for you." Not giving him a chance to refuse, Victoria raised her hands. "Lower your head." Ethan had no room to retreat. Facing the camera, he could only obediently bend down. In those few short seconds, Victoria's hand brushed against the sensitive nape of his neck. Her warm breath fanned across his Adam's apple, her scent flooding his senses. Her lips were close to his ear. Unheard by anyone else, she murmured, "Good boy." Ethan's body visibly tensed. Victoria smiled lightly. Standing behind him, her soft hand slid down his lean waist to grasp the apron strings, almost like an embrace from behind. The director's eyes lit up. He spoke into his walkie-talkie. "Get a close-up on them." The cameraman, listening through his earpiece, quickly zoomed in, focusing on Ethan's facial expression, framing his avoidance as restrained control, capturing his reddening earlobe and suddenly stiff fingers. Victoria tied the apron strings into a bow. Where she had touched him felt like ants crawling over his skin. Ethan couldn't help but touch his lower back. "There!" Ethan's expression was unnatural. After the apron was tied, he seemed to forget how to even stir-fry, pausing for a long moment before remembering the next step. Olivia Bennet watched this unfold from the side. It's just tying an apron, right? Why does it feel so weird? Also, what's Victoria playing at, getting so close to Ethan all of a sudden? Has she forgotten he's her niece's ex-fiancé? Even if they broke off the engagement, an ex-fiancé is still an ex-fiancé, not someone her aunt should be making moves on. I'm floored. It's only the first day. How is it already this juicy? Victoria just tied an apron for Ethan, and the atmosphere suddenly got so ambiguous. The sexual tension between them is off the charts. Ethan's such a good cook. Looking forward to dinner. Olivia Bennet. I shouldn't be here. I should be under a car. What is Victoria actually trying to do? I really feel like she sees Ethan differently. Victoria is definitely just playing with Ethan. She looks like such an experienced player. So smooth. Probably keeping a whole pond of fish on hook. Feels like Ethan isn't as bad as Twitter makes him out to be. Setting other things aside, he's really emotionally stable, does housework, and cooks so well. Amelia didn't lose out in terms of daily life when she was with him. At least, what good is cooking? Amelia wasn't dating a chef or a servant. The main point of dating is emotional value. You just get more annoyed looking at someone you don't love. Amelia and William are still the best match. Finally, it was time for dinner. They sat at the same round table as at lunch, with Ethan flanked by Grace Parker and Victoria. Ethan's cooking received unanimous praise. Olivia Bennet didn't say anything, but once seated, her mouth never stopped moving. She ate until her stomach was bulging. Eventually, she couldn't even drink water. Under the table, she gently rubbed her belly, thinking inwardly, Amelia really ate well these past 2 years they were dating. As friends for so many years, she never once invited me over for a meal. Some friend she is. In the observation lounge, the panelists were also about to wrap up. Before finishing, Sophia Reynolds asked, Amelia, Olivia Bennet is supposedly your friend. Did you ever invite friends over to your place for dinner? Amelia, no, Sophia Reynolds said, staring at the Twitch stream. So this is Olivia Bennet's first time eating Ethan's cooking? It was hard to tell if she was doing it intentionally or not, but throughout today's recording, Sophia Reynolds kept steering the conversation towards Ethan. Everyone present knew about Amelia and Ethan's past. By doing this, she was highlighting Amelia and Ethan's relationship and their conflict for the public, one of the show's main draws. Just looking at the relationship chart of the cast, you could tell this reality show was bound to be a hit. Fresh off a broken engagement, Amelia was watching her ex date someone new, all while accompanied by her current partner. And the people Ethan was involved with were none other than her uncle and her good friend. Sophia Reynolds twirled her pen. Olivia Bennet looked really happy eating Ethan's food. Maybe they'll have some adrenaline bonding. Amelia said, Olivia Bennet couldn't possibly like Ethan. Maybe not before, but you never know about the future. The host, Liam Carter, trying to manage the atmosphere, changed the subject. After a full day of Twitch streaming, which couple are you most optimistic about? It's only the first day. Hard to see any real sparks yet. Olivia Bennet and Christopher Foster, maybe? Christopher Foster seems pretty into Olivia Bennet. I agree. Hard to say about the others. William, what do you think? William had been quiet all day, not offering many opinions. When the host suddenly directed the question at him, he paused for a moment before saying, I also think Christopher Foster and Olivia Bennet. Anyone else? William glanced at Amelia beside him, then said, Ethan and Grace Parker, perhaps. They seem to have known each other before, and Grace Parker appears quite concerned about Ethan. After saying this, he clearly sensed a shift in Amelia's mood. I think they might have something too, Sophia Reynolds agreed. Right now, the biggest draw of this show is Ethan. His personality isn't as bad as Twitter makes it out to be. I actually quite like him. As a regular guest on the show, Sophia Reynolds wouldn't mind if things got more dramatic. It would keep the hype going. Exhausted after a long day, everyone dispersed after dinner. Victoria Harper returned to her bedroom, her first move being to turn off the Twitch livestream feed and her microphone pack. She shared the room with Grace Parker. The two stood facing each other, silent, hostility evident in their eyes. A single glance was enough to identify them as rivals. Victoria Harper asked directly, When did you and Ethan meet? Grace Parker didn't hold back. A long time ago. I was only 7 when I met him. Our families live close. We went to school together, ate together, had sleepovers. His grandma was very fond of me. Actually, we almost had an arranged childhood engagement. So, when she called them childhood sweethearts, she wasn't exaggerating. The two were like negotiators at a table, each probing the other's hand. Whoever revealed their cards first would lose. To win, you could bluff, intimidate, or threaten. Grace Parker was staking her claim, issuing a challenge to Victoria Harper. Ethan is mine. I knew him when you were probably still nobody. You said it yourself, almost. Victoria Harper turned and sat down, crossing her legs. Though seated, her imposing aura didn't diminish. She looked up slightly at Grace Parker, as haughty as ever. Just a faint, nothing to fear. The word almost was truly frustrating. Almost together, almost a wedding ceremony, almost had him. It often delivered a heavy blow just when hope seemed within reach. Almost also represented unspoken regrets. Ethan and I dated. Victoria Harper was not an opponent to be underestimated. Grace Parker decided to make her back down. She liked Ethan. She knew what liking someone looked like in their eyes, and she saw it in Victoria Harper's. Victoria Harper wasn't surprised. So what if you dated? You broke up, didn't you? That just proves you didn't love him enough back then. If you truly loved him, how could you let him go? Grace Parker's face paled. She wanted to argue, but didn't know what to say. She had intended to make Victoria Harper retreat, but unexpectedly, she was the one whose composure crumbled first. It wasn't over. Victoria Harper continued, Ms. Parker, have you ever heard the saying, a good ex should stay dead? You knew Ethan earlier than I did, but relationships aren't first come, first served. Grace Parker clenched her fists, nails digging into her palms. She forced herself to stay calm. We broke up, yes, but that doesn't mean we can't get back together. We were each other's first love, and first loves are unforgettable. Whereas you, Olivia Bennett, told me you're Amelia's uncle. Relatively speaking, you're the one with the least standing here, right? Victoria Harper's eyes turned icy. Whether I have standing or not isn't for you to decide. Then whether this pair of first loves gets back together is none of your business either. After staring each other down for a moment, they both let out a cold laugh. This battle had no winner, but it was just the beginning. The mountain air was fresh, and the night was filled with the sound of frogs. Ethan slept comfortably, dreamlessly, and felt refreshed, waking up early the next day. The morning temperature was around 23 degrees Celsius. The air had a slight chill that felt invigorating to breathe in. After waking up, Ethan faced east and went through a routine: Bajuanjin Qigong, Tai Chi, and the 5 animals frolics. Anyone familiar with these practices could see how proficient he was, fluid yet controlled, each movement precise. It was clear he practiced regularly. After completing the 3 sets, Ethan had worked up a light sweat. He felt comfortable from head to toe, as if his whole body had been stretched and revitalized. When he was younger, Ethan hadn't taken care of his body. Only after being diagnosed with various health issues did he start focusing on wellness. After turning 50, his most frequent routine was practicing Bajuanjin. He didn't know if his health was objectively better, but at least it gave him peace of mind. After finishing, Ethan found some goji berries and tossed them into his thermos. Ethan's up this early, getting up to practice exercises, and putting goji berries in a thermos. Since yesterday, I've felt like Ethan acts way older than he looks. Fishing, cooking, focusing on wellness, sleeping at 9, and now getting up early to exercise. Maybe the 9 p.m. bedtime was just because he was tired yesterday. Speaking of which, the last time I slept at 9 p.m. was probably elementary school. The others weren't up yet. Ethan went into the kitchen to make breakfast. He cooked a pot of oatmeal porridge on the induction cooker, boiled the pierogi bought from Maplewood Township the day before, and prepared 2 kinds of coleslaw. Seeing he had finished and had nothing to do, the director called him aside for a solo interview. Did you sleep well last night? Are you adjusting to the environment okay? I like it here. The air is good. I usually suffer from insomnia, but last night I slept exceptionally well. Okay, let's talk. Which of the guests here do you feel a connection with? A connection? It seemed like picking anyone would be awkward. Ethan gave an embarrassed smile. No one yet, currently. The director nodded. According to the show's rules, in 3 days, you'll need to send a DM match to the guest you're most interested in. Think carefully about who you'll choose. Is there a segment for sending messages in the show? The director explained. A single arrow meant a failed match, while a double arrow indicated success. These DMs were all sent using anonymous phone numbers. The recipient wouldn't know who sent it and could only guess. The content of the message could be anything. It didn't necessarily have to express romantic interest. The director worried Ethan might be at a disadvantage here, giving him an example as a warning. Previously, a male contestant had been indecisive, sending messages of interest to every single female contestant. He ended up getting cyberbullied and called a simp. Ethan's original plan had been just that. Since he didn't particularly like anyone, he'd send a thank you message to different people. I'll think about it carefully. He had to choose someone who would result in a single arrow. First to be eliminated was Grace Parker. Between the remaining 2, Victoria and Olivia Bennett. Victoria's attitude towards him was a bit strange. If he chose Olivia Bennett, given her attitude towards him, she absolutely wouldn't send him a message back. The director asked, "Were you and Grace Parker close before?" Ethan replied, "We were childhood sweethearts, grew up together, but we lost touch after starting university." "What was your first reaction when you saw her?" "Very surprised. I never expected her to participate in this kind of reality show." Ethan paused, quickly clarifying, "Director, I don't mean that in a discriminatory way." "I understand. No need be nervous." The director didn't mind. Forget Ethan. Even he hadn't expected Grace Parker to contact him proactively. The person originally scheduled was another female artist from the same talent agency. An ordinary artist versus an award-winning actress. The choice was obvious. Moreover, this was Grace Parker's first time on a reality show. She could bring much more value to the program. Thinking of this, the director's eyes held a deeper meaning. "Do you know why Grace Parker came on this show?" Ethan shook his head, deliberately playing dumb. "No idea. Maybe the talent agency arranged it." The director chuckled. and patted his shoulder. Ethan, I have high hopes for you. And I'm not the only one. After the solo interview, Ethan was completely bewildered, feeling there was a hidden meaning behind the director's words. Next, the director conducted solo interviews based on the order they woke up. Second was Victoria. The director asked the same question. Among the people you met for the first time, who are you interested in? Ethan and I didn't meet for the first time. If you're asking who I'm interested in, I choose to keep it a secret. This question doesn't have to be answered, right? All right. Third was Christopher, one of the male contestants. He readily admitted his interest in Olivia Bennet. What's your impression of the other two female contestants? Christopher replied, I've only seen Grace Parker on TV. She's even more beautiful in person than on screen. My impression of her is still tied to that movie she was in. As for Victoria, she gives off a distant vibe. I don't have a deep enough impression of her yet, so I won't comment. The fourth to appear was Grace Parker. Faced with the director's question about who she would send her message of interest to, she said, I don't want to say right now. I just hope my choice will be supported when the time comes. Also, I hope everyone will try to understand a person with their own heart, not through what others say. Think twice before slandering someone. Grace Parker is talking about Ethan, right? She's interested in him, I could tell yesterday. She practically spelled out Ethan's name. Ethan was her childhood sweetheart. It's normal for her to say a few good words for a friend. The fifth interview was with Logan. Who am I interested in? Grace Parker, I guess. I'm a fan of her movies. His answer was safe and predictable. The last one was Olivia Bennet. Everyone else had finished their interviews, but she was still sleeping. A staff member had to go wake her up. Olivia Bennet had a bad temper when woken up. She managed to hold it back in front of the camera, but she still showed her lack of cooperation during the solo interview. There's no one I'm interested in. How can you be interested in someone you just met on the first day? Anyway, the person I dislike the most is Ethan. Who will I send the message to? Definitely not Ethan. I'll just randomly pick between Christopher and Logan. Some people liked her straightforward personality, while others disliked it. Judging by the live comments, more people disliked it, saying she was disrespectful. After the solo interviews concluded, the director announced today's task during breakfast: help community workers harvest rice. Whoever finished the task first would receive a swap card. The so-called swap card could be used to exchange future date partners. Is there a time limit for the task? Yes, 2 hours. What happens if we don't finish? Living funds will be distributed to those who complete the task within the time limit. Those who don't finish won't get any. Having to earn living funds through tasks made many feel the production crew was being stingy. They had bought a lot of things yesterday, and their living funds were already running low. There were still many things that required money in the Oak Ridge community. This money had to be earned. After breakfast, the group headed to the rice paddies. It was 9 o'clock, and the sun was already out. The temperature was around 25 degrees Celsius, not too hot yet, but it would rise directly to 33 degrees by noon. Olivia Bennet dawdled, applying sunscreen. Even for farm work, she had to maintain perfect makeup for the cameras, a habit retained from her girl group days. In his past life, Ethan had grown vegetables and flowers, but harvesting rice? He had only seen it in short videos online. It looked simple, like cutting grass, but actually doing it was difficult. A group of privileged individuals trying field work couldn't adapt to the mud, feeling hot and itchy all over. Ethan learned earnestly. He had strong focus and even stronger execution. After listening to the instructions, he started working. He wasn't used to it at first, but gradually found a rhythm. He had to get that swap card. If he didn't want to go on a date with someone later, he could use it to swap himself out. Ethan thought he was already quite fast, but then he heard rustling sounds behind him. He turned his head and saw Victoria. She had caught up directly. Her originally fair and beautiful face was smudged with mud, and her hair had straw tangled in it. Her clothes were also covered in mud. If you remember correctly, Victoria was something of a neat freak. But right now, Ethan couldn't believe she had any GFE, cleanliness obsession, at all. Victoria gritted her teeth, her eyes slightly red, with only one thought in her mind: swap card. It meant she could freely choose who she wanted to date. Besides Victoria, Grace Parker was also moving quickly. Ethan glanced over before turning back to continue harvesting. Was Victoria working this hard for the swap card too? Who was she doing it for? Thinking this, his movements slowed down slightly, and Victoria quickly overtook him. The director had set a 2-hour time limit, but Victoria finished in just 1 hour. Reaching the finish line, she raised the sickle in her hand high. "Director, I'm done. I'm the first." Everyone stopped and looked at her. A flash of disappointment crossed Grace Parker's eyes. She was just a little behind. Victoria's beauty was evident yesterday, but today she was even more dazzling. Even covered in mud, looking utterly grimy, Her beauty couldn't be hidden. Ethan was momentarily stunned. He was closest to Victoria and saw a streak of blood on her hand. "Your hand is injured." Victoria Harper seemed to just notice, wiping at the blood on her finger. She'd nicked it while harvesting rice earlier. The cut wasn't deep, but it was bleeding quite a bit. Hearing Victoria Harper was hurt, the production crew hurried over to treat the wound. "Are you all right? Wash the dirt off it. Get the antiseptic. This might sting a little. Brace yourself." The antiseptic spray hit the wound, and the sting was sharp. Victoria Harper sucked in a breath, her hand twitching involuntarily. Gritting her teeth against the pain, she said, "I'm fine, just hurry up." A crew member asked, "Should we get you a tetanus shot?" Victoria Harper was about to say it wasn't necessary, but just then, she met Ethan's worried gaze. She smiled. "Ethan's finished harvesting too, right? Let him come with me." This was a dating show, after all. The production crew naturally hoped for unexpected sparks between the male and female guests. Just then, Grace Parker interjected, "I can go with you, Victoria. I'm almost done here, too." The director had hoped Ethan would accompany Victoria for the shot, but with Grace speaking up, he couldn't easily interfere and left the decision to them. Victoria Harper smiled. "No need, Grace. Ethan, it's our turn to cook today, remember? You can come with me for the shot, and we can pick up some groceries on the way back." With things laid out like that, Ethan couldn't really refuse. "Okay." Ethan climbed out of the muddy field, his outer jacket splattered. He pulled it off, revealing the sleeveless undershirt he wore underneath. His build was more solid than expected, lean and well-proportioned. Not too bulky, not too thin. The thin fabric clung to his torso, clearly outlining the contours of his abs. "I see them. An 8-pack. Hissing inhale, wow. Didn't expect Ethan to be so ripped. I thought he was just a pretty boy. That body's way better than Williams. How dare Williams fans say Ethan doesn't measure up? Looks like Amelia's eating well day and night. Winking face, that athletic build. Damn, you just know he's got stamina. What is wrong with you people? Haven't you seen a man before? What is this crap in the live comments? It's making me blush. Can the mods do something about this?" Ethan, oblivious to the live comments scrutinizing his physique, had no idea he'd caused such a stir. "I'm gonna go rinse off." Victoria Harper shot a discreet glance at his abdomen. I need to change too." Back at Oak Ridge Farm, it didn't take them long to shower and change. Victoria emerged with damp hair to find Ethan waiting in the yard. "Let's go." They took a production vehicle to Maplewood Township. During the drive, Ethan kept glancing at her hand. A beauty is called such for a reason. Even her fingers were longer and more slender than most, delicate with pinkish tips. The cut marred this elegance, looking starkly out of place. "Does your hand still hurt?" Victoria Harper lifted her hand towards his lips. "It does. Want to blow on it for me?" Ethan pressed his lips together, saying nothing. Smiling, Victoria pulled her hand back and blew a gentle breath across her own knuckles. After a moment, Ethan said, "You're really pushing yourself." Victoria Harper looked up at him. "Aren't you?" She learned a lesson very young. If you want something, you go after it with everything you have, seizing every chance. She hadn't had many chances before, but now that she did, she was ready to fight for them. Even if an opportunity was just a tiny crack, she'd force her way in. An exchange card meant a chance for a date with Ethan. She was competing for it, and so was Grace Parker. Ethan had no idea how sought after he was. Of course, Victoria wasn't about to enlighten him. If Ethan knew she liked him, he might keep his distance, and that wasn't the outcome Victoria wanted. Feelings were easier to cultivate up close. She wouldn't give Ethan a chance to escape. They arrived at the Mayo Clinic. There was no queue for registration, and Victoria got her shot quickly. The two bought some groceries in Maplewood Township, Ethan attentive to her the whole time. During the solo interviews this morning, the director said we send the heartbeat DMs in 3 days. "Who are you planning to send yours to?" The accompanying crew member was some distance away. Victoria turned off her mic and leaned closer to Ethan, asking quietly. Ethan glanced at her switched-off mic, then turned his own off. "I don't know. I'll decide then." But truthfully, he already had someone in mind. Isn't the director against us discussing this privately? What's there to be afraid of? We'll talk secretly. He won't know. A sly glint flashed in Victoria Harper's eyes. Seeing the cameraman approaching, she quickly grabbed Ethan's hand. "Come with me. Let's find somewhere private to talk." Victoria led Ethan into a farmer's market, pulling him into a deserted corner and effectively ditching the crew. Slightly breathless, Victoria said, "In 3 days, I'm sending my DM to you." "Why me?" "You." Victoria cut him off. "You don't think I like you, do you? I prefer older men. Besides, you used to call me uncle because you dated my niece, remember? I see you as practically family. A junior. How could I possibly like you? I'm sending the DM to you because I don't fancy any of the other guys here, and sending it to them might cause misunderstandings. The last thing I want is drama from being on this show. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. I almost thought Victoria actually liked him. He didn't want to be conceited, but Victoria's glances towards him these past 2 days had been odd, making his mind wander. Running into Victoria Harper was the most unexpected part of joining this show, and the thought of potentially dating her later on was the most daunting. Now that they'd cleared the air, Ethan felt completely relieved. Thinking about it, it made sense. Why would Victoria Harper like him? Not only had he dated her niece and called her uncle, but Victoria herself was famously uninterested in marriage. He recalled his past life. After marrying Amelia Harper, they had adopted children. Victoria Harper rarely contacted him back then, but she always visited during Thanksgiving each year, bringing New Year gifts. Even when he was in his 50s, Victoria still treated him like a junior, giving him, the Harper family son-in-law, a traditional red envelope gift for the new year. In that past life, she had even told him once that if things weren't going well, he could come to her. Ethan hadn't understood then, but looking back, maybe Victoria had just been treating him like a kid she needed to reassure. Why did you join this show? It's not like you need the money, right? Ethan asked again. This time, Victoria didn't brush him off. She answered seriously, my family's been pushing me to go on blind dates. Plus, I'm getting on in years, so I thought I'd give the show a try. Maybe I'd find true love. But since getting here, I haven't found anyone I like. How come? Logan and Christopher seem like good guys. Maybe you just haven't spent enough time with them. Oh, please. If there's no spark at first sight, there never will be for me. Honestly, neither of those two holds a candle to you. His recently calmed heartbeat skipped again. Ethan was lost for words. Ethan, if you don't know who to send your DM to, why not send it to me? Since neither of us has found someone we like, we might as well pick each other. Victoria Harper suggested. Her reasoning was sound, but Ethan Johnson hesitated. After all, many people would watch this show, and perhaps some already knew Victoria Harper was Amelia Harper's aunt. If they started matching DMs now, it would likely stir up more trouble later. It wasn't necessary. Victoria Harper added, after the show ends, I'll go online and explain. I won't let people misunderstand our relationship. Miss Victoria, Ethan began, honestly, at first I thought you joined the show to get back at me for Amelia Harper. How could she possibly want to avenge Amelia Harper? Although Amelia called her aunt, their relationship was distant. If Amelia hadn't suddenly started dating Ethan Johnson, Victoria wouldn't have contacted her in years. Ethan Johnson was direct. Since Amelia Harper and I have already broken off our engagement, I want a clean break to avoid unnecessary trouble in the future. I don't want to give the audience the wrong idea. After the show, he just wanted to live his own life peacefully. He wanted nothing to do with Harper Enterprises or the Harper family. As expected, persuading Ethan Johnson wasn't easy. Victoria's pupils contracted slightly, her eyes dimming. She had anticipated this outcome, but couldn't control her disappointment. Understand, she said. So, will you choose Grace Parker then? Ethan answered immediately, without hesitation, no. Good. He won't choose Grace Parker. That means I still have a chance, Victoria thought, though her expression remained troubled. Grace Parker seems to have misunderstood me, Victoria said. Last night, she told me she was your childhood sweetheart. I think she joined the show for you. She hasn't forgotten you, and she even told me to stay away from you. Ethan hadn't expected Grace Parker to say such things to Victoria. His brow furrowed tightly. You have to seize every opportunity when pursuing someone. Leave your rivals no room to maneuver, Victoria mused inwardly. She asked aloud, did you and Grace Parker really date? At the mention of the past, Ethan's brow remained knitted. That was a long time ago. It's impossible between us now. Miss Victoria, please don't tell anyone about this. Victoria teased, your secret's safe with me. But Grace Parker will definitely try to ask you out next. If you don't know how to refuse, you can use me. We can help each other ward off unwanted attention. Ethan treated it as a joke and didn't reject her outright. I'll consider it. Victoria's gaze was open and frank. Compared to Grace Parker, her chances seemed much better. As long as Ethan hadn't directly refused her, she would keep a close eye on him. The production crew couldn't find them and were already shouting frantically in the street. Ethan heard them. Let's go back, it's getting late. Okay. Seeing the two appear, a staff member wiped the sweat from his face. Where did you two go? And why did you turn off your mics? Victoria winked at the camera. We were discussing something private. I just saw it. Victoria Harper suddenly grabbed Ethan Johnson's hand and ran off. What kind of private matter takes that long to discuss? Could it be about Amelia Harper? Victoria Harper is Amelia Harper's aunt. I hope those two don't do something disgusting. They even have leaves in their hair. Don't tell me they snuck off into the woods. Getting frisky in broad daylight? That's bold. Do you have to make everything sound dirty? After returning, Ethan went straight to the kitchen to cook. Victoria offered to help. Her hand was injured, making it inconvenient to wash vegetables in water, so she could only do other tasks. I want to stir-fry 2 dishes for lunch today. Ethan was surprised. You know how to stir-fry? Only a few simple home-style dishes. You didn't let me wash the vegetables, and you won't let me chop them either, so I can only do the stir-frying. Don't underestimate me. My cooking might not be as good as yours, but it tastes decent. Since Victoria insisted on cooking, Ethan didn't argue further. He stood aside, watching her skillfully wash the wok, heat it, and add oil. Could you tie my apron for me? Ethan took an apron from the wall and held it up in front of her. With a spatula in one hand and vegetables in the other, Victoria ducked her head into the apron straps. From a distance, it looked like Victoria was leaning into Ethan's embrace. Ethan stood behind her, head lowered, tying the straps. After harvesting rice earlier, Victoria had changed into a camisole, revealing her smooth, pale back. Her shoulder blades protruded slightly, like delicate butterfly wings. Ethan didn't dare look too closely, keeping his eyes downcast as he focused on tying the knot. Just then, Victoria poured the vegetables into the wok. The flame was too high. As the vegetables hit the hot oil with a loud sizzle and crackle, flames flared up dramatically. Startled, Victoria jumped back, her entire back pressing firmly against Ethan's chest. The weather was hot, and both were wearing light clothing. Pressed so close, they could feel not only each other's body heat, but also their heartbeats. Ethan reacted instantly, with extraordinary calm. Seeing the flames erupt, he swiftly pulled Victoria behind him, grabbed the wok lid to smother the fire, and adjusted the heat. "Are you okay?" Victoria asked, still shaken, patting her chest. "That scared me, but thankfully I didn't get burned." Lifting the lid revealed the vegetables inside were burnt. Ethan scraped them out. "Maybe I should do the stir-frying after all." Victoria looked embarrassed. "I wanted to show off my skills, but I didn't expect this cast iron stove's heat to be so hard to control. Cast iron stoves are like that. How about you watch the fire instead?" "Okay." Victoria touched the apron she was wearing. "Do you need an apron?" "You keep it on, I don't need one." Victoria moved to stand behind Ethan, her gaze flicking toward a figure outside the courtyard, a faint smile touching her lips. "Grace Parker, have you been home this whole time?" Victoria Harper suddenly asked. Ethan Johnson subconsciously glanced back and saw Grace Parker standing quietly in the yard. He didn't know how long she'd been there, her eyes holding a hint of loneliness. Grace Parker walked forward. "Am I interrupting?" "Of course not," Victoria Harper replied. "We're just making some food." Grace Parker struggled to maintain a composed expression, trying to appear graceful and dignified, but the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth betrayed her emotions. Grace knew Victoria had spotted her long ago. Victoria made no effort to hide her possessiveness towards Ethan Johnson. Only an oblivious guy like Ethan wouldn't see it. Just yesterday, Grace had seen Victoria tying an apron for Ethan. She'd resisted the urge to interrupt then, but now she saw them close together again, even more intimate than yesterday. Should she warn Ethan Johnson to keep his distance from Victoria Harper? If Ethan knew Victoria liked him, he'd probably want to stay far, far away. Mulling this over, she walked over to Ethan Johnson's side. "Is there anything else to do? Let me help." Victoria Harper offered a generous smile. "Sure." An award-winning actress indeed. Her face remained perfectly calm as she quickly composed herself, acting as if nothing had happened. Victoria sat nearby, resting her chin on her hand, her gaze towards Grace filled with interest. "Where are Olivia Bennett and the others?" Victoria asked. Grace replied, "Olivia Bennett is a bit slow. She's afraid of bugs. But Christopher Foster is helping her, so they should be back soon." Victoria glanced at her watch. "It's already been 2 hours. If they haven't finished harvesting, our living expenses are going to be tight." Just as she spoke, there was a noise outside. Logan Prescott had returned. "You guys have started cooking already? Where are Christopher Foster and Olivia Bennett?" "They're still behind. Might take a while longer. I'm going to take a shower first." Another 15 to 20 minutes passed before Olivia Bennett's tearful complaints could be heard. "I'm never harvesting rice again. Can't they give me a different job next time? The field is dirty and smelly, and on top of that, there are snakes." "That wasn't a snake. That was a catfish." "What's the difference?" "They look the same. Get that thing away from me. It looks disgusting." Ethan Johnson, busy stir-frying, was sweating profusely. Victoria approached him with a wet wipe to help him clean up. Ethan dodged slightly. It's okay. You just cook. Look, your sweat is about to drip into the food. The thought of sweat dripping into the dish was indeed unsettling. Ethan Johnson stood still, letting Victoria wipe the sweat from his brow. Grace Parker looked away for a moment, and when she looked back, Victoria was getting handsy with Ethan again. Victoria clearly had ulterior motives, yet her expression was nonchalant, as if she were genuinely just wiping away sweat. The back of Ethan's neck and his earlobes were sensitive areas. After wiping his forehead, Victoria's hand traced down his jawline to his earlobe, her fingertips brushing his Adam's apple before moving to the back of his neck. Grace watched Ethan's back stiffen, her hand gripping the bowl she held tightly. Victoria looked at Grace and smiled, a hint of provocation in her eyes. A challenge. Anyone could do that. Ethan swallowed hard, his voice husky. Are you done? Done. Ethan quickly dished out the stir-fry from the wok. Victoria took the plate from him. I'll take this out. Ethan saw Olivia Bennett and Christopher Foster enter the yard. You're back? What's that you're carrying? Christopher held it up. It's catfish and a few loaches. Can you cook them? It could be a meat dish. Sure, no problem. Olivia looked disgusted. That thing is so gross. Can it actually taste good? I'm not eating it, Ethan Johnson, and you're not allowed to cook it either. The thought that the kitchen pots and pans would be used for those things made her want to avoid the kitchen altogether. Christopher looked at her helplessly. It's actually really delicious. You could try it. I don't want to. If you dare cook it, I'll smash the pot. Among the people there, only Christopher had the patience to coax her. Ethan certainly wasn't in the mood. Go take a shower. Dinner will be ready when you're done. Christopher placed the bucket by the kitchen door. Ethan glanced inside. 2 catfish and 4 loaches, quite large, a substantial amount. Cooked up, it will make a big serving. Catfish was a rare delicacy, essential in Cajun cuisine. With their living funds dwindling, meat dishes were becoming scarce. If they didn't eat well, they wouldn't have the energy to work. Ethan decided he was definitely eating the catfish. He took the bucket outside, sharpened his knife, and expertly gutted and filleted the fish, even removing the bones. His knife skills rivaled those of seasoned restaurant chefs. It had been a long time since Ethan had eaten catfish. Just thinking about the taste, he asked Victoria to help prepare the seasonings. Soon, a dish of ginger-scented catfish was ready, the aroma alone signaling its deliciousness. The viewers in the Twitch chat were practically drooling. I sent Olivia Bennett way, too high maintenance. Such a princess complex. Nobody likes her except Christopher Foster. Why did she even come on this show? She's useless at everything. Shouldn't she just go back to being a rich heiress? Can someone who's tried to tell us, is catfish actually good? Catfish really does look disgusting. I can understand why Olivia is scared if she's afraid of snakes. Watching the show's Twitch stream these past 2 days, my impression of Ethan Johnson keeps getting better. I didn't expect him to know how to handle catfish. Look at those knife skills. You'd think he was a professional chef. I just finished eating. Why am I hungry again? Totally shipping Victoria Harper and Ethan Johnson. Younger guy relationships are the best. I guarantee Victoria likes Ethan. We'll probably see their DM matches the day after tomorrow. Can't wait. Olivia Bennett took her time showering, washing not only her body, but also her hair. Afterwards, she styled her hair, applied light makeup, sprayed perfume, put on sunscreen. The whole routine took an hour. Grace Parker had to call her twice before she finally emerged from her room. Olivia hadn't felt hungry, but the sight of the spread on the table made her stomach rumble instantly. As she was about to sit down, she saw a large platter of unfamiliar meat in the center. A bad feeling crept up on her. What is this? Is it fish? I've never seen fish meat like this. Christopher shot Ethan a look, silently pleading with him not to say it was catfish. If this young miss threw a tantrum, there was no telling how chaotic things would get. Ethan received the signal, but he chose to tell the truth anyway. It's catfish. The 2 you brought back. I thought we were having vegetarian lunch today, but turns out we got some meat after all. Olivia's expression changed instantly. What? Didn't I tell you not to cook it? I'm not eating it. Just because you won't eat it doesn't mean others won't, does it? This isn't your house. Ethan calmly picked up a piece of catfish, put it in his mouth right in front of Olivia, and said while chewing, really good. You should eat this while it's hot. You guys dig in too. Except for Olivia, no one at the table was a picky eater. Hearing Ethan praise it, they immediately picked up their chopsticks. It really is delicious. This is my first time eating catfish. It looked pretty scary, but the meat is so tender and delicate, and boneless too. Ethan Johnson, your cooking is amazing. You should consider opening a restaurant. The group ignored Olivia, showering the dish with high praise. Olivia sat down, sulking. She didn't dare follow through on her threat to smash the pot. She knew she'd be heavily criticized. Olivia had always cultivated an image of being genuine and true to herself, perhaps getting used to saying whatever came to mind. Typically, her mouth worked faster than her brain. She often regretted her words afterward, realizing her true feelings weren't so harsh. Olivia listlessly poked at the white rice in her bowl, her peripheral vision fixed on the catfish dish in the center. She wanted to try it, to see if it was really as good as they said. Olivia also enjoyed Cajun cuisine, flavorful and spicy. She rarely got to eat things like chili-oiled dishes normally, needing to maintain her figure. But today, after harvesting rice all morning, she was starving and craving something substantial. Plain cabbage with rice wasn't going to cut it. Ethan, sitting opposite her, clearly saw Olivia's desire warring with her reluctance. Just try it. It's not as terrifying as you think. Seeing no reaction, Ethan changed tactics, adopting a challenging tone. Or maybe, you don't dare to eat it? Turns out Miss Bennett is quite timid, smaller than a loach. Who said I'm timid? It's just a measly catfish. Olivia extended her chopsticks and picked up a piece of meat. Thinking of the live catfish still made her a bit squeamish, but she couldn't possibly throw the piece back now. Olivia stared at it for 2 seconds. I don't want to eat it. I'm just curious about the taste. With that, she popped it in her mouth. The meat was tender, smooth, and incredibly appetizing. So, it wasn't that scary after all. It really was delicious, just as Ethan had said. Ethan watched her with a grin. Isn't it good? Not as hard to swallow as you imagined. Olivia mumbled. It's just okay, I guess. But even as she said it, she reached for another piece. Ethan looked at Olivia like she was a child who didn't know any better. Seeing her eating obediently filled him with a sense of gratification. Just moments ago, Olivia had sworn she'd rather die than eat it, and now she was thoroughly enjoying it. The never say never principle truly is timeless. The single pot of catfish wasn't quite enough for 6 people. They were left wanting more. The men decided that if they had free time in the afternoon, they'd go back to the field to catch more catfish and loaches. Just like that, their living expense problem was solved too. Is everyone finished eating? Ethan stood up, intending to clear the table and wash the dishes. Logan spoke up. You worked hard cooking. Leave the dishes, I'll wash them. Victoria stood up with Ethan. It was actually Ethan's and my turn to cook and wash up today. If you help us wash today, what was the point of drawing lots yesterday? But your hand. It's fine. I bought waterproof gloves. I can't just do nothing because of small injury. Despite her words, everyone helped clear the bowls and chopsticks into the kitchen. Victoria emptied the leftover oily soup and food scraps into a bucket, then put on her gloves to start washing. There weren't many dishes, but they were greasy, so it would still take some time. Luckily, she wasn't alone. Ethan worked quickly. One washed while the other rinsed the suds off the bowls. When most of the bowls were done, Victoria told Ethan to go rest. I'll get the rest. I'll wipe down the kitchen afterward. You've been busy all afternoon. You should take a break. Victoria pushed Ethan out. Just as he stepped out, Ethan ran into Grace Parker. Not exactly ran into. She had been waiting for him. Ethan, can we talk alone? Ethan glanced at the cameraman who was always following him. It's so hot out here. Go take a break. Don't get heat stroke. Grace Parker pointed towards the laundry room. Let's talk in there. No cameras. Ethan nodded. Once inside, Grace Parker got straight to the point. Ethan, Victoria is Amelia Harper's aunt. I know. Then do you know she likes you? Victoria liked him? How is that possible? Ethan shook his head. No way. Victoria couldn't possibly like me. Leaving aside the fact that our relationship isn't appropriate, she doesn't like guys younger than her either. Definitely clueless, Grace thought. It was so obvious with Victoria. How could he not sense it? Grace Parker felt like her head was about to explode from his denseness. If she didn't like you, would she wipe your sweat? Tie your apron? Be touchy-feely with you? She just sees me as a junior. Grace Parker said urgently. What junior? She's only a couple of years younger than you. Why don't you see her acting like that with other men? She just has ulterior motives towards you. Don't be fooled by her. If Victoria hadn't confided in him beforehand, he might have actually believed Grace Parker right now. Some things couldn't be explained in a few words, and besides, whatever he did had nothing to do with Grace Parker. Even if she does like me, what does that have to do with you? Don't forget, this is a dating show. We're here to find romance. If she's interested in me, can you stop her? Grace Parker froze, murmuring, I just want you to stay away from her. Ethan showed her no mercy. It will be better if you stayed away from me. No matter how good Grace Parker's acting skills were, she couldn't keep her composure at this moment. Her face turned deathly pale, and her eyes reddened. Was Ethan really this hateful towards her after just one breakup? Ethan sighed. He hadn't wanted to be so harsh, but it seemed like Grace Parker wouldn't listen otherwise. Grace Parker, my business with her doesn't need your concern. If you really mean well for me, then it's the same advice. Don't get too close to me. I'm worried your fans might get the wrong idea. There was no misunderstanding. She did like him. She wanted to change to like someone else, but every time she closed her eyes, she couldn't help but think of him. Seeing Ethan about to leave, Grace Parker immediately grabbed his sleeve. Ethan, if my fans support me, will you give me a chance? What does your fan support have to do with me? Besides, do you think all of your over 50 million followers could possibly support it? Impossible. Millions of people meant millions of opinions. One person couldn't silence millions. Someone would always stand up and object. Ethan liked a quiet life, didn't want his life disturbed, spied on, or constantly judged online by outsiders. He couldn't get used to that kind of public figure lifestyle, and Grace Parker would never give up her career for him. This was the gap between them. Under the spotlight, some found it glaring and uncomfortable, while others enjoyed the glow. So, why force two incompatible people together? Considering the guests had worked hard all morning, the director didn't assign any tasks in the afternoon, letting them rest properly. Ethan couldn't sit still. Worried the staff might get heat stroke in the hot weather, he brewed sour plum juice and iced tea. Around 5 in the afternoon, he started preparing dinner. After gathering everyone's opinions, they decided on barbecue. Weren't we supposed to catch loaches and catfish in the paddy fields? Are we still going? Christopher asked. Yeah, Logan replied. Ethan's going to the fields to catch catfish. Are the ladies coming? Olivia Bennett had sworn that morning she'd never go back to the fields, but seeing everyone else going, she figured staying home alone would be boring. So, she put on a straw hat, donned her sun protective clothing, and went out with them. Christopher and Logan were in the fields catching loaches and catfish, while Ethan fished with a rod by the side. His luck wasn't as good as last time. He only caught 2 fish, but together they weighed about 5 to 6 pounds, which was enough to eat. Christopher's group also had a good harvest, catching 5 catfish of various sizes and a basin full of loaches. Olivia Bennett got goosebumps watching the catfish squirming like snakes in the water. They tasted good, but they really weren't pleasant to look at. She wondered how Ethan had managed to clean them so well at lunchtime. Suppressing her discomfort, Olivia Bennett stood beside Ethan, watching him handle the catfish and fish. He wasn't even wearing gloves, just grabbing them live. Imagining it had been too simplistic. Seeing Ethan process the ingredients in a few deft movements, Olivia Bennett asked, Ethan, is there anything you're afraid of? Of course, I'm afraid of frogs. Olivia Bennett. You're not even afraid of snakes, but you're afraid of frogs? I don't believe you. I just think frogs are scarier than snakes. And it's not that I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm just not afraid of catfish. There's a big difference between catfish and snakes. Olivia Bennett stood aside, watching Ethan clean the catfish and then move on to the fish, still working quickly. They say a man focused on his work is handsome, and it was true. She found herself staring, captivated by Ethan's profile. The camera was almost shoved in her face before she snapped out of it. Ethan, I realize you're not as annoying as I thought. I'm a bit curious. Why did you find me annoying? Yeah, why? Because you're not as good as William. William is the one most suited for Amelia. You just meddled. Ethan didn't stop scaling the fish, merely asking with his head down, Johnson Family and Harper Enterprises, which do you think is more powerful? Olivia Bennett answered without thinking. Harper Enterprises, of course. Ethan looked up. Harper Enterprises surpasses the Johnson family in both wealth and status. Do you think I have the power to force Amelia Harper into a marriage with me? Or, in your eyes, is Amelia Harper so incompetent that she can't even refuse? Right? Harper Enterprises didn't need to ally with the Johnson family. Without them, there would be better options. And Amelia Harper had a resolute personality. It was impossible she couldn't even manage to reject a marriage proposal. Given Harper Enterprises' power, they didn't necessarily need an arranged marriage. Therefore, choosing Ethan must have been Amelia's well-considered decision. In elite circles, an arranged marriage is more akin to a mutually beneficial partnership. Amelia choosing to run away on her engagement day was essentially breaking the contract mid-deal. In the business world, reneging on a deal is a sign of bad faith, a major taboo in business. So, Amelia was the one in the wrong, but why was Ethan the one being blamed and attacked? It was as if he had forced Amelia to marry him. If he truly had forced her, the criticism might be understandable, but the crucial point was he didn't have the power to coerce Amelia. Olivia Bennett tended to be straightforward, perhaps a bit oblivious. Since Amelia was her friend, she naturally saw things from Amelia's perspective. Amelia loved William, couldn't be with him, and only reluctantly agreed to be with Ethan. She felt Amelia's marriage was a waste. Now, Prompted by Ethan, she was taking a bird's-eye view, seemingly grasping the entire situation. It was a pity Amelia couldn't be with the person she loved, but wasn't Ethan innocently dragged into this mess? Pitiful too? On the engagement day, his fiancée ran off to be with her childhood sweetheart, a public humiliation. After the engagement was called off, he still had to endure being hounded by William's fans and smeared by his ex-fiancée's family. From beginning to end, Ethan seemed like nothing more than a tool, a pawn. Olivia Bennet was unwilling to admit it. It was an alliance between two families. Don't act like you didn't benefit from it. Anyway, Amelia loves William, so William is better suited for her than you. You're right. That's why I broke off the engagement to let them be together, didn't I? What else is there to say? The two fish were already cleaned, and he began slicing them into fillets. Ethan's knife skills were excellent. Each slice was perfectly uniform, with even the tiny bones removed. He focused intently on the task at hand, seemingly oblivious to the outside world. As long as you don't bother them, I won't target you anymore, Olivia stated. Lady Harper, Ethan replied. They're already together. I joined this show to find a girlfriend myself. From a moment we called off the engagement, she and I have had nothing to do with each other. Frankly, I'd rather stay far away from her, so how could I possibly bother her? You need to understand, it was Harper Enterprises that chose me for the marriage alliance. I couldn't even make my own decisions, so what right do I have to interfere with them? Getting burned like that once is enough, all right. Ethan seemed sincere. To distract Olivia Bennet, he handed her the sliced fish fillets. Add some salt and wash these clean. I don't know how. You can learn if you don't know. You're so smart. Can't you handle a little thing like this? You even peel those potatoes perfectly clean. Olivia Bennet found his words strange, hovering somewhere between praise and a put-down. She obediently took the fish fillets. How do I wash them? Teach me. Add some salt. Rub it gently with your hands, then rinse with water. Wash them a couple of times. Ethan instructed from aside. As she washed the fish, Olivia Bennet gradually quieted down. Why did she dislike Ethan? Besides being Amelia's friend, she was also a minor fan of William's. She had acted with William once, and he had looked out for her on the production crew. Perhaps it was prejudice, but she just felt William was superior to Ethan in every way. If Ethan hadn't appeared, Amelia and William would have been together long ago. Targeting Ethan over this little thing, how was she any different from those paid online trolls hired to slander people? Ethan was right about one thing. The marriage alliance was Harper Enterprises choosing him, not him choosing Amelia. He had no authority to make decisions for anyone. He couldn't even make decisions for himself. If Amelia and William could have been together, they would have gotten together 5 years ago. With or without Ethan, it likely wasn't possible. Olivia Bennet truly wished she could be more ignorant. The more she understood the truth, the more upset she became. She washed the fish in the basin 4 or 5 times until the water ran clear before showing it to Ethan. Is this okay? See how smart you are? Just needed a little instruction. Now, could you help me wash some scallions, cilantro, ginger, and peel some garlic too? Peel plenty. The word smart was clearly meant as a compliment, but coming from Ethan, it always felt tinged with sarcasm. Are you making fun of me? Ethan stopped what he was doing, stood up straight, and said with utmost sincerity, Why would I? You're a great little helper, quick with your hands. You always finish the tasks I give you. Even though you complain and say you don't want to do it, you always see it through. I see your effort, but you still need to keep trying. There was again that tone used to coax a child. Olivia Bennet felt a slight flutter in her heart. The viewers in the live stream could all tell Ethan was handling a kid, yet Olivia Bennet, bless her heart, didn't seem to realize and actually believed him, genuinely starting to do the prep work. Nobody expected that the previously willful, sharp-tongued, bad-tempered Olivia Bennet, with all her princess airs, could have such an obedient day. From Ethan's perspective, he's actually the victim, right? His fiancée ran off with her childhood sweetheart during their engagement party. That would suck for anyone. Plus, he and Amelia broke up peacefully, so I don't get why people online are still attacking him. The ones bashing him are probably William's fans. Many of them can't accept him dating. They don't want to blame William and don't dare blame Amelia. So they just unload all their frustration onto Ethan. Is Ethan trying to whitewash himself here? Ethan was never blackened to begin with. So what's there to whitewash? If anything, it's your sister-in-law, Amelia, who pointlessly wasted 3 years of a man's life. What? A man's 3 years aren't valuable. If you can't forget your first love, why agree to an arranged marriage? Ethan was clearly the one who benefited from marrying into the Harper family. Stop making him sound like a victim. Who needs feelings in an arranged marriage? Amelia didn't like Ethan, but Harper Enterprises injected millions into the Johnson family. What did Ethan bring to Amelia? Not even basic emotional support. Just a few home-cooked meals? She might as well have dated a housemaid then. Ethan never loved Amelia at all. If he really loved her, how could he join a dating show right after breaking off the engagement? He's just after the money/connections. Olivia Bennett is pretty quiet today, actually listening to Ethan. Ethan's treating Olivia Bennett like a kid he needs to manage. Didn't expect she'd be this easy to handle. I always thought Olivia Bennett had a serious princess syndrome, but these past couple of days on the show, even though she complains, she still gets things done. Not as bad as I imagined. The director watched the Twitch stream, scratching his head, his expression sour as if he'd bitten into a lemon. This was getting tricky. He hadn't expected Ethan to reveal such things in this setting. Sure, it generated buzz, but this was a live broadcast. Every move was being watched, and Amelia was sitting right there in the observation lounge. Wasn't Ethan afraid of offending Harper Enterprises with these words? Although the engagement was off, the families still had business dealings. Harper Enterprises could pull their investments at any moment. Hundreds of thousands of people were discussing it now. It was too late to contain it. In the observation lounge, everyone was surreptitiously watching Amelia's reaction. Her expression was calmer than expected. She watched the live feed quietly, without even furrowing her brow. This seems to be the first time Ethan has mentioned his past relationship since joining the crew. Hasn't it? Only Sophia Reynolds would ask such a thing. She had been subtly targeting Amelia since the show began filming. Amelia, I wanted to ask you something. In the 3 years you were with Ethan, did you ever develop feelings for him? Amelia replied, no. Sophia Reynolds, sitting opposite her, watched her curiously. Not even after 3 years. What about Ethan? Did he develop feelings for you during that time? What was your relationship dynamic like? Or was it really like the netizens say, an alliance of mutual benefit with no real emotions involved? Amelia didn't answer immediately, lost in thought. The Ethan in her memory was vastly different from the Ethan she was seeing now. 3 days ago, she might have answered without hesitation that Ethan loved her deeply. Everyone around her could sense his affection. How could she, the person involved, not perceive it? But, just as the netizens suggested, if Ethan truly loved her, how could he join a dating show just 3 days after their breakup? People aren't made of stone. How could someone who genuinely loved fall out of love so quickly? Or perhaps, his love for her had been an act from the very beginning? Maybe he never loved her at all? She felt warmth on the back of her hand. William had taken it. Ms. Reynolds, William interjected smoothly. As observers, our role is to observe the participants, not ourselves. Your question touches on personal privacy, and Amelia has the right to decline to answer. What's there to be afraid of? This isn't a Twitch stream, you know? We can say whatever we want. The director will just cut it out later, Sophia Reynolds said, attempting to smooth things over while deftly extricating herself from the awkwardness. Of course, if Ms. Harper feels I'm invading her privacy, she can choose not to answer. I just hope we can relax a bit during this recording, maybe confide in each other a little. Sophia always seemed to target Amelia, not just to stir up drama, but also because of an underlying hostility she felt toward her. Amelia couldn't understand why Sophia disliked her. This was their first meeting. Perhaps it was the kind of animosity inevitably drawn by exceptionally talented people. It certainly wouldn't be the first time it had happened to her. The host, Liam Carter, tried to defuse the tense atmosphere. It's all right, everyone, just chat casually. Don't say anything you don't want to. Let's keep watching the screen. I'm quite curious about the barbecue Ethan and the others are having tonight. Just when it seemed like the topic would be dropped, Amelia unexpectedly answered Sophia's earlier question. I don't understand Ethan. Before this, everyone around me said he loved me very much. But looking at it now, it seems love can be faked. Maybe it's like the netizens say, marriage alliances are only about benefits, not genuine feelings. I'm glad that during these 3 years with him, I guarded my heart and didn't let myself fall too deep. William looked visibly moved. He reached out and took Amelia's hand. To outsiders, they looked like a very affectionate couple. Inside, Amelia was far from the calm she projected. When William took her hand, she subconsciously clenched her fist, not relaxing even within his grasp. Amelia cared about Ethan more than she realized. Perhaps even she hadn't noticed the disappointment and anger bubbling beneath the surface as she spoke those words. Anger at being abandoned by Ethan. Her eyes seemed fixed on the Twitch streaming screen. What was she thinking right now? Did she want to rush in there and demand to know if any of his kindness towards her over the past 3 years had been real? Why could he switch off his love just like that? Amelia's mind was a mess. Only when William held her hand did she slowly regain her composure. She and Ethan were over. Asking these questions now would only be humiliating herself. Why waste time and energy on unimportant people and matters? Ethan had already been kicked out of the Johnson family by his parents. This meant that whoever he dated or married in the future would be someone he truly loved, untainted by family interests. If his love for her had been an act, what would he be like when he truly loved someone? Would he treat that person thousands, millions of times better than he treated her? The thought of the man who had shown her false affection turning around to cherish another woman with profound love sent an insistent, sour ache coursing through Amelia, crashing wildly within her. William squeezed Amelia's hand and said, "Well, I could never deceive a woman's feelings for personal gain. And I sincerely hope Ethan can treat the people around him genuinely from now on. You can't keep up an act forever." Over at the Oak Ridge retreat, Ethan had finished prepping all the ingredients and was ready to start grilling. Christopher Foster and Logan Prescott had assembled the barbecue grill. The female guests helped out, bringing stools and drinks and washing plates and cutlery. Ethan manned the grill, breaking into a sweat. His face flushed red in the smoky firelight, his hair damp. Not only could Ethan cook, but he was also a master at barbecue. As soon as he sprinkled the purchased seasonings, the surrounding production crew members started swallowing hard. As evening approached, the temperature dropped. A cool evening breeze felt incredibly comfortable against the skin. The night sky looked like a tilted galaxy, and even the moon seemed rounder and brighter than the one seen in the city. Besides the moon, there were fireflies flickering in the grass, a rare sight for these city dwellers. Logan Prescott leaned back in a lounge chair, gazing at the night sky, eating barbecue skewers, drinking cold beer, feeling the breeze, looking at the stars and moon. This is the life. I almost don't want to go back. Although the Oak Ridge community lacked many conveniences, escaping the city's hustle and bustle and immersing oneself in nature gradually replaced restlessness with tranquility, allowing everyone to savor the peaceful moment. After everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, the director suggested playing Truth or Dare to help the guests get to know each other better through the game. Each guest harbored many secrets, especially Ethan. Truth or Dare might coax something out of them and conveniently escalate any underlying conflicts and tensions among the guests. "Should we play?" Olivia Bennett asked. She didn't really care either way. The night was long, there was nothing else to do, and the production crew hadn't given back their phones. Back in their rooms, they could only stare blankly until they fell asleep. "I'm fine with whatever," Ethan said. Victoria Harper chimed in. "Let's play for a bit." "How do we play?" Ethan looked around and picked up an empty beer bottle. "Spin the bottle?" Whoever the mouth points to gets asked. "Okay, I'm good with that. Let's do it then." Ethan was the first to spin the bottle. It eventually pointed towards Christopher Foster. "Truth or Dare?" Ethan asked. "Truth," Christopher replied. "Tell us about your job." "I started a game company. It's pretty new. We do a bit of everything." Olivia Bennett asked curiously. "A game company? What game?" Christopher Foster mentioned a game title. For a gamer like Logan Prescott, the name immediately rang a bell. "I've played that indie game. It's actually pretty fun. It was quite popular for a while. I didn't realize you developed it." "Wow, Christopher Foster is amazing. So young, already developed a hit game and started his own company. He's probably the most impressive guest here, especially coming from Oak Ridge Farm. No family money, had to rely on himself, unlike some people born into wealthy families. Some people are born in Rome, others are beasts of burden till they die. My impression of Christopher keeps getting better. Tall, mature, a charismatic CEO type. Grace Parker, open your eyes and look. Isn't he way better than Ethan?" But Christopher Foster likes Olivia Bennett, right? And Olivia seems interested in him too. Chrislivia's CP scoring big points. Next, it was Christopher Foster's turn to spin. This time, the bottle pointed at Logan Prescott. Since Logan had already talked about his job and family during the day, there wasn't much to ask there, so Christopher focused on his love life. "Have you been in a relationship before?" "Yes, I have." Christopher's interest was piqued, and he fired off several questions. "How long did it last? What kind of girl was she? And what type are you interested in now?" Logan Prescott chuckled. "That's quite a few questions, isn't it? But I can answer. I've had 2 girlfriends. The first was during my freshman year of college. She was an upperclassman. We dated for a year, then broke up after she graduated. The second I met online. We had an online relationship for half a year before meeting up, then dated for 2 years before breaking up. As for type, she liked anime and cosplay, so her style was pretty varied." Logan said jokingly. "Then why did you break up?" "We just had different opinions on life. Couldn't quite get on the same wavelength." Christopher asked again. "How long ago did you break up?" This time, Logan Prescott didn't answer. "Maybe I can save that question for next time." Logan spun the bottle, and it landed on Victoria Harper. He didn't ask immediately, but silently scanned the group before asking with a sly smile. Among the male guests here, is there anyone you're interested in? Victoria Harper raised an eyebrow and smiled. Yes. Everyone instantly turned to look at her. They had only been here for 2 days, and Victoria already had her eye on someone. There were only 3 male guests present. Who could it be? Ethan was also surprised. Just earlier that day, Victoria had told him she wasn't interested in anyone on the show and even said she'd forward her DM matches to him to avoid misunderstandings. How could she have developed feelings for someone so quickly? Love comes fast like a tornado. Who could Victoria like? Haven't seen her getting close to anyone these past 2 days. Oh wait, Ethan. Could it be Ethan? Look at Ethan's surprised face. Doesn't seem like it's him. Could she have instantly fallen for Christopher Foster after hearing about his job? It's hard not to be interested in such an impressive guy, right? I wish a beautiful older sister would love me too. Logan Prescott had a gut feeling Victoria was interested in Ethan. He told Callie and Ethan, stole a glance at Ethan, then tentatively asked Victoria, "Can you give us a hint about their characteristics?" Victoria Harper smiled sweetly. "That's a second question. Besides, the production crew wants us to keep our crushes a secret initially, to maintain suspense for the audience. It's my turn to spin now, right?" Victoria controlled the force, and the bottle spun, its mouth coming to rest, pointing directly at Ethan. Truth or dare? A glint of mischief flashed in Victoria Harper's eyes. Ethan, going by instinct, chose dare. Hearing Ethan choose dare, Victoria Harper sighed with slight disappointment. After all, they were streaming on Twitch. The dare couldn't be too outrageous, or they'd risk getting temporarily banned. If Ethan had chosen truth, Victoria Harper would have asked him if he'd be open to dating someone older, marrying someone who felt like an older sister. If she'd asked that, 9 times out of 10, everyone would have guessed Ethan was the one she had feelings for. Unable to achieve her goal, Victoria Harper stared at Ethan for a moment before saying, "Your hair's getting a bit long. Let me trim it for you tomorrow." Just a haircut? That seemed fine. Ethan nodded. Okay. Now, it was Ethan's turn to spin the bottle. It landed on Grace Parker. Grace chose truth, secretly anticipating what question Ethan would ask her. But Ethan didn't really have anything specific to ask her. The onlookers and the Twitch chat audience were more anxious than he was, practically wanting to jump in and ask themselves. Ethan's dense as a rock. Just ask something. Ask about the movie star's private life, her relationships, if she's ever dated, what type of person she likes. Any of those questions could trend on Twitter. Such a golden opportunity for gossip. The paparazzi would be ecstatic if they were here. Grace asked, "Have you thought of what to ask me? How about we talk about your work?" As soon as Ethan spoke, the scene fell silent. Olivia Bennett wasn't one to sit still. She always spoke her mind. "Ethan, are you stupid? Who doesn't know about Grace Parker's work? Do we need you to ask? If you don't know what to ask, let me." "Grace Parker, tell us your dating standards. See if any of the male guests here meet them." Hearing this, Ethan felt a sense of foreboding, his heart jumping into his throat. Everyone present looked at Grace Parker with expectation and curiosity. Grace Parker took a sip of her drink before saying, "I like guys who can cook." Among the male guests present, only Ethan could cook well. The camera zoomed in on Ethan, trying to catch any flicker of emotion on his face, but unfortunately, Ethan remained perfectly calm, ignoring the curious stares. The atmosphere grew a little stiff. No one dared to crack a joke at this awkward moment. Is Grace Parker hinting at Ethan? He's the only guy here who can really cook, right? Others can cook too, just not as well as Ethan. Have to admit, Ethan's cooking is really good, and he's not bad looking either. Plus the Johnson family connection. It's normal for her to like him. Damn it, my ship is sinking. I feel like Grace Parker's already fallen for him. Fallen for him just because he can cook? Can't you afford a chef or order takeout? Grace Parker silently took the bottle. Controlling the force wasn't easy, and the bottle finally spun towards Olivia Bennett. In the 2 days you've been here, have you developed strong feelings for anyone? Olivia Bennett answered immediately without thinking. I've felt attracted to someone, yes, but haven't truly fallen for anyone. She was attracted to Christopher Foster. He fulfilled her fantasy of an ideal partner. But somehow, after saying the words, truly fallen for anyone, Ethan's image inexplicably popped into her head. Olivia Bennett's expression changed. Seeing Ethan looking at her, her gaze flickered away. She lowered her head, and out of the camera's view, a look of annoyance crossed her face. Why was her heart beating uncontrollably because of Ethan? Not only the people present, but also the audience noticed Olivia Bennett's strange reaction. Nobody made a big deal of it, assuming she was just shy. Olivia was about to spin the bottle when a staff member suddenly approached. "Olivia, you have a phone call. Do you want to take it?" "Let me see." Olivia stood up and took the phone. Seeing the caller ID, her expression shifted slightly. The caller was none other than Amelia Harper. Previously, if she had received a call from Amelia Harper, she would have answered cheerfully without hesitation. But now, she actually felt like declining it. Perhaps it had something to do with what Ethan had said during the day. "I need to take this call. Wait for me a moment." Olivia answered the phone and went to a quiet corner. Olivia returned in less than 5 minutes. "My turn to spin, right? Go ahead." After taking the call, Olivia was visibly nervous. It was just a trivial game, yet she was breaking out in a cold sweat. The bottle spun with the force she applied, finally wobbling to a stop in front of Ethan. Seeing this, she breathed a sigh of relief. Ethan raised an eyebrow at her. "This time, I'll choose truth." "What do you want to ask?" Olivia asked. "Would you ever get back together with your ex?" No. This wasn't the question she wanted to ask, but the one Amelia Harper wanted answered. Why Amelia Harper would ask such a suggestive question was unclear. She had clearly stated she didn't love Ethan. They had broken off their engagement, and she had officially announced her relationship with William Hayes. From every angle, it seemed impossible that Ethan would reconcile with his ex. Hearing Ethan's decisive no, Grace Parker's face went pale. The game continued, and every time it was Olivia's turn, she deliberately controlled the spin to point the bottle at Ethan. "Give your ex a score. Passing grade. After breaking up, how do you see your ex? As a stranger, in your opinion, can liking someone be faked?" From the moment Olivia started asking about the ex, Ethan sensed that these might not be her questions, but rather those of the person who had called her. The caller must be Amelia Harper. So, she was watching the Twitch stream now. Ethan suddenly looked directly at the camera opposite him and retorted, "Would someone sitting right by a barbecue really not feel the heat?" The genuine feelings he thought he had shown were, in some people's eyes, apparently just like acting. Fake. Who would act by specifically learning to cook, making different dishes every day for a month without repetition? Who would act by staying awake for 2 days straight watching over someone sick? Who would act by catering to her every little mood, remembering all her preferences, racking his brains daily to prepare surprises to make her happy, taking care of every aspect of her life meticulously? Once again, it was Olivia's turn. "When you were with your ex, did you ever think about a wedding ceremony?" Ethan let out a sarcastic laugh. "Yes." Why does Olivia keep asking Ethan about his ex? Olivia must be targeting Ethan. Understandable, since she's friends with Amelia Harper. So, Ethan really did love Amelia Harper. Could this be scripted too? Anyway, I don't trust Ethan. Sims have the worst luck. After answering, Ethan took the bottle and spun it. The mouth landed steadily, pointing right at Olivia Bennett. He stared straight at her and asked directly, "Was it Amelia Harper who told you to ask these questions?" Olivia shot up from her seat, flustered and helpless. After a long moment, she lowered her head and answered in a trembling voice. "Yes." Everyone noticed that when Ethan answered Olivia Bennett's questions, he wasn't looking at her, but at the Twitch livestream beside her. Ethan's eyes were dark pools in the night, like magnets. When the bottle pointed at Olivia Bennett, he asked without hesitation, "Was it Amelia who told you to ask these questions?" His eyes seemed to see through everything. Between the adrenaline bonding and the truth, Olivia Bennett had chosen truth, but she never expected Ethan to ask her this. All eyes in the vicinity focused on her. Steeling herself, she answered yes. Ethan glanced at the Twitch livestream, a sneer on his face. He stood up, setting the bottle upright. "It's getting late. Let's call it a night." Nothing more needed to be said. The Twitch chat exploded. "No way. It's really about Amelia?" I was wondering why Olivia Bennett kept grilling Ethan about his ex. Turns out the ex wanted to ask. They already broke off the engagement. What's the point of Amelia asking this? What is Amelia thinking? She's already with William. Why care so much about her ex-fiancé? She's rattled. Totally rattled. From what I know, people who keep asking if their ex wants to get back together usually haven't moved on. Poor William. He's being cheated on emotionally. Is Amelia nuts? Having her cake and wanted to eat it too. You can't just say that. Maybe Amelia was just curious. Could this be scripted? I check up on my ex after breaking up too, ask about him. As long as I hear he's doing worse than me, I'm happy. I don't believe it. I just started shipping William and Amelia. They can't break up. Maybe Amelia is in the Twitch chat too, watching with us. Intense. Ethan's perception is insane. He figured out Amelia was behind Olivia Bennett after just a few questions and called it out right then and there. If I were Amelia, I'd be cringing so hard my toes would be trying to dig me a hole to hide in. Compared to the noisy Twitch chat, the scene itself was much quieter. When Ethan got up and left, everyone else remained frozen in place. The loud croaking of frogs filled the air. Victoria Harper let out a small laugh, drawing everyone's attention. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and slowly stood up. This game was pretty interesting. Let's play again sometime. I'm heading back to my room. As Victoria Harper left, the others followed suit, getting up and leaving one by one. In the observation lounge, Amelia's face was pale, her eyes stinging as she stared at the live feed. The moment Ethan had looked towards the camera, their gazes seemed to collide across the distance. For an instant, she truly thought Ethan had seen her through the lens. So, when you went to the restroom earlier, you were calling Olivia Bennett. Amelia, what are you really thinking? Do you genuinely care that much about what Ethan thinks of you? Or can you just not let him go? Sophia Reynolds wouldn't miss such a perfect opportunity to mock Amelia. Amelia didn't respond. She simply stood up and walked out. She wasn't filming anymore. Hey, leaving already? Can't handle it. I was just asking out of curiosity. It's not like sensitive topics like this will make it into the final edit anyway. Aren't you guys curious? They were curious, but they didn't dare ask. Amelia's status and background were prohibitive. Offending her wasn't wise. Sophia Reynolds, that's enough, William snapped, slamming his hand on the table, his gaze icy as he looked at her. Sophia Reynolds' expression froze. A moment later, she retorted, furious because you're embarrassed? Take it out on Amelia. Why yell at me? The other observers quickly tried to mediate. The assistant director knew they couldn't continue recording tonight and simply called a wrap. William hurried off to find Amelia. Amelia rushed out of the studio. She pulled out her phone to call Ethan, only realizing he had blocked her when the automated system message played saying the call couldn't be connected. She didn't want to care about Ethan, yet the figure constantly surfacing in her mind was always his. He had said he once thought about having a wedding ceremony with her. They had indeed almost had one, if she hadn't gone to find William that day. Her phone vibrated. Amelia's first thought was Ethan, but a glance showed it was William calling. If there had been a mirror in front of her, she would have seen the sheer disappointment on her face. Amelia answered. William's anxious voice came through. Amelia, where are you? I'm heading home. I'm done recording for today. She had always been willful, often acting on her mood without considering the consequences. Let me take you back. No need. I want to go back alone today. There were 3 or 4 seconds of silence on the line before William paused. Don't take what Sophia Reynolds said to heart. I don't. So, will you come back to record tomorrow? Yes. She had signed a contract after all. She had at least finished filming the first installment. Although she said yes, Amelia was already having second thoughts, unsure how she could face Ethan on the live stream. Even though Ethan couldn't see her, she felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. William hesitated, then finally asked the question that had been weighing on his mind. Amelia, about Ethan. Have you really not moved on? No, Amelia retorted. I'm just not quite used to it, and she still felt unwilling to let go. William sighed in relief on the other end. That's normal. You lived together for 3 years, after all. You'd feel used to it, even if a regular friend suddenly left. Was that it? But she could sense that Ethan's presence in her life had surpassed that of a regular friend. Amelia wasn't foolish enough to tell William everything. William was her official boyfriend. Since she had decided to be with him, she would forget Ethan. Only a week had passed. Gradually, she would stop reacting to Ethan. That night, Amelia trended on Twitter again. Hasnot Amelia Ethan. Hashtag Amelia Live on the Go Observer. Hashtag Amelia X Ethan. Hashtag Amelia William. Amelia didn't go home, but went to Central Park Tower. Ethan had bought the apartment, but it was under the Johnson family name. After breaking up with Ethan, the apartment was reclaimed by the Johnson family. Richard Johnson had originally intended to sell it, but Amelia wanted to keep it, so it was transferred directly to her name as compensation. There wasn't much inside. She'd have to buy a whole new set of kitchenware if she wanted to cook. Amelia tried to restore everything to how it was, but after searching online for a long time, she couldn't find the same models. She suddenly understood a truth. Some things once lost could truly never be found again. Just as she lay down in the apartment, Benjamin Harper called. Amelia didn't want to answer, but the ringtone persisted for too long. Annoyed, Amelia picked up. Dad, pack your things and come home. Tomorrow, you're reporting to work at Harper Tower. I've arranged a manager position for you. Quit that variety show. Benjamin Harper didn't waste a single word. No. Amelia, you're not a kid anymore. What are you messing around for? Did everything I told you a few days ago go in one ear and out the other? I told you not to be with William, but you insisted on going on this show with him. Fine, but then you caused trouble again today. Tell me honestly, are you doing this show because you like William or because you can't let go of Ethan? Speaking of which, Benjamin Harper was furious. The situation had been perfectly fine, but thanks to one call from Amelia Harper, public opinion had completely flipped. Amelia Harper remained silent. Benjamin Harper continued earnestly, Amelia, you're my only daughter. You're going to inherit the business someday. It's time you came back to Harper Enterprises and got used to working here. Being on this reality show does nothing for you. You should just come home. It's not like we can't afford the contract termination fee. Dad, Amelia Harper finally spoke up. I can handle the situation on Twitter. I joined the show just to relax a bit. Don't overthink it. How can I not overthink? Finding the argument grating, Amelia simply hung up and switched her phone to silent. After washing up, Amelia Harper took out her laptop and went online. Seeing the Twitter trends filled with tags about her and Ethan, she had a bad feeling and decided not to click on them. Amelia Harper logged off and contacted Private Investigator Murphy. Have you found out what I asked you to investigate? After about 10 minutes, a reply came. It's been sent to your email. She had previously asked him to look into Ethan and Grace Parker's relationship. He sent back several photos with a concise caption. They used to be a couple. The email contained images accompanied by text, describing in meticulous detail the course of their relationship. It was a simple story, but clearly unforgettable. Pictures showed them in school uniforms, standing at the school gate, looking at each other across a classroom, holding hands on the street, sitting under a tree sharing cotton candy, riding bicycles. They had known each other since childhood. Grace Parker hadn't been lying on the show. They really were childhood sweethearts who had actually dated. The text ended by stating the reason for their breakup. Amelia Harper leaned against the headboard, her eyes lowered, staring intently at the words on the screen, tracing their past. The life on the laptop screen reflected in her eyes, suppressing the shadows within. Regardless, they were history now, but there was no doubt Grace Parker had joined the show intending to get back together with Ethan. Since Grace Parker was Ethan's ex, those questions Ethan answered tonight, were they about Grace Parker or about her? Who was the ex he wanted to marry? Amelia Harper felt lost, and the more she thought about it, the worse she felt. She enlarged one photo, her fingertip tracing over the image, unable to stop stroking it. The Ethan in the picture was vastly different from the Ethan now. He looked younger, his face innocent. Dressed in a school uniform, he was radiant and handsome. The look in his eyes as he gazed at Grace Parker was full of pure joy and love. Amelia Harper searched her memory carefully. Ethan had never looked at her like that. The photo was dated 5 years ago. Not that much time had passed, yet Ethan seemed like a completely different person. Benjamin Harper had no faith that Amelia Harper could handle the situation. Unable to reach her, he simply called in the PR team. First, leaked to TMZ that Ethan was a playboy. Post old photos of him going in and out of bars online. Add some fabricated text. Most netizens these days just wanted drama and didn't care about the truth. As a result, baseless rumors spread like wildfire online. Of course, a few photos weren't enough to get him canceled nationwide. Benjamin Harper contacted Richard Johnson. He wanted the Johnson family to announce, right now, that Ethan had severed ties with them. If they made the announcement, Benjamin would let bygones be bygones and continue to cooperate with the Johnson family in the future. Richard Johnson agreed without a second thought. In his eyes, Ethan wasn't worth a single business deal. Besides, Ethan had initiated the break himself. Since he didn't want to be part of the Johnson family, he could stay out forever. Without hesitation, Richard Johnson logged into his account and posted an announcement. Ethan has already severed ties with the Johnson family. From this day forward, Ethan is no longer my son. Attached, severance document. Richard Johnson posted this using his personal account. Worried it might not get enough visibility, he had the Harper Enterprises account retweeted. Tagged with the trending topic related to Ethan, its popularity soared, hitting the Twitter trends in less than 30 minutes. Hashtag Ethan kicked out of home. Hashtag Ethan disowned by parents. Hashtag Ethan no longer Johnson Group heir. Hashtag Ethan bars. Netizens found this even more entertaining. Ethan's reputation, which had briefly started to recover, plummeted once again. A kid, even his parents don't want? Must be trash. Why did Ethan's parents disown him? What else could it be? Bad character, moral issues. Look, Ethan's been getting slammed for days, and not a single person from the Johnson family came out to clarify anything. It means everything on Twitter is true. Ethan probably joined this show for a shotgun wedding, right? His only redeeming quality was being rich. Now he's been kicked out by his family, lost his status as the sole heir, has no money and no real job. Why did the production crew even invite him? I remember Ethan saying before that he was unemployed. I thought he was joking back then. Turns out it was true. Now Ethan's really going to be a simp. I finally understand why Ethan made clam chowder on the first day of filming. He was trying to tell us he was bitter, pathetic, and completely irrelevant. According to the severance document, Ethan cut ties with his parents after breaking off an engagement. Could there be more to this story? Ethan's dad. Can you please elaborate on why you disowned Ethan? Richard Johnson, of course, didn't dare. Faced with netizens' questions, he remained silent. The more he said, the more mistakes he could make. Severing ties with Ethan was a fact. His statement wasn't wrong. As for the rest, that definitely couldn't get out. He worried that if he said too much, he'd provoke Ethan into revealing the truth. Things like his biological mother being in Springfield Mental Health Center, having killed her own daughter, those absolutely could not be exposed. It was a colossal scandal. Public opinion wasn't entirely one-sided. Some netizens remained rational, actively seeking the truth. When Amelia Harper woke up the next day and checked her phone, she discovered the world had turned upside down. Twitter was flooded with chaotic rumors. Ethan was a player, an octopus with wandering hands, a frequent nightclub visitor, a two-timer, a spoiled rich kid. TMZ had even leaked claims he bullied people in school. Every dirty deed imaginable was being pinned on him. This wave of overnight accusations earned Ethan nationwide cancellation, all based on zero evidence beyond that single picture of him entering a bar. To maximize the impact, Benjamin Harper had even commissioned numerous AI-generated deepfakes. Amelia Harper knew instantly it was her father's doing. She hadn't slept well, and her head was spinning when she opened her eyes. Forcing herself through the discomfort, she called Benjamin Harper. "Dad, are you behind all the fake stories about Ethan on Twitter?" Benjamin Harper's voice was heavy. "Yes." Amelia Harper pressed urgently. "Dad, why would you do that? Didn't I tell you I would handle it myself? And how are you going to handle it?" Benjamin Harper scoffed. "You're my daughter. Don't I know what you're thinking? You're just too soft on Ethan. That's why you were the one getting attacked on Twitter before. I'm your father. Everything I do is for your own good. But the things you had people post, they're all fake. So what if they're fake? As long as people on Twitter believe it, it becomes the truth. If Ethan isn't taking the heat, you will be. Even Richard Johnson has given up on him. Why do you care so much? Amelia, be a good girl. I'll let you continue filming this show, but if you disobey me, then I'll have no choice but to have people bring you back by force." Benjamin Harper warned, "I won't have the posts on Twitter taken down. And don't worry too much about him. Give it time, people will forget." Amelia Harper felt a jolt, rendered utterly speechless. Grace Parker woke up even earlier than Ethan today. The staff saw her leave empty-handed and return 30 minutes later carrying a bag. "Ms. Parker, what's that in your hand?" "Century eggs." Grace Parker had gone door to door, asking 5 houses before managing to buy these 6 century eggs. Grace Parker planned to use the century eggs for breakfast. She also simmered a pot of oatmeal with bacon bits. Ethan had loved that most back in their school days. While Grace Parker was cooking the oatmeal, Ethan got up. Completely unaffected, he was practicing his exercises in the yard, just like yesterday. It was a closed-set recording. They wouldn't know about any Twitter trends unless the director told them. The director had repeatedly warned the surrounding staff to keep their mouths shut, also fearing it might affect the guests' mood for filming. But Ethan still keenly sensed something was off, because the way the surrounding staff looked at him was very different from usual. Grace Parker, having finished cooking the oatmeal, stood quietly watching him. To outsiders, it might seem boring, but she wished time could freeze so she could stay with Ethan like this forever. With staff members watching, Grace Parker observed for a while longer before getting up to go back to her room and change. Victoria Harper had also woken up. Freshly washed up, she held 2 pairs of scissors and called out to Ethan. "Ethan, come here." Ethan had just finished his last set, slightly sweaty. He wiped his forehead. "What's up?" "The adrenaline bonding you promised me during last night's game." Ethan saw the scissors in her hand and remembered. She wanted to cut his hair. Victoria Harper found a low stool for Ethan to sit on. Then, she grabbed a plastic bag from somewhere and tied it around his neck. Just as she was about to start cutting, Ethan grabbed her hand firmly. "Victoria Harper, do you actually know how to cut hair?" "Of course. Why would I cut it if I didn't?" It sounded plausible, but Ethan felt uneasy, like a lamb waiting for slaughter. Victoria Harper pressed the back of his head to adjust his position. "Don't move. Relax, I won't mess it up." With that, Victoria Harper started snipping. A soft, rustling sound filled the air by his ears as hair began to fall, some strands tickling his neck. Ethan wanted to scratch, but suddenly felt a puff of warm air on his neck. He flinched instinctively, jerking forward. "What are you doing?" "Blowing the hair away. A few strands fell into your clothes." "Hey, why are your ears so red?" "Did I make them red by blowing on them?" Victoria Harper teased with a smile. Ethan didn't want to answer. Victoria Harper continued cutting his hair, occasionally blowing near his ear or touching the nape of his neck. She smelled fragrant and felt soft. With her touch, it felt like an electric current flowed down from his scalp, even making his tailbone tingle. It was just a haircut, yet Ethan felt on pins and needles, trying hard to control his body's reactions. Seeing him break out in a sweat, Victoria Harper took out a tissue to wipe it for him. Ethan intercepted her hand. "I'll wipe it myself. Don't move while I'm cutting, or I might snip wrong." Ethan reluctantly lowered his hand. "How much longer?" "Almost done, just tidying up." Victoria Harper trimmed and admired her work. "Looks really good. Your hair was too long before, covering your eyebrows and making you look listless." Victoria Harper stared intently at his forehead, then reached out and touched the space between his eyebrows. "Ethan, has anyone ever told you that you have a really nice forehead?" Ethan usually disliked people touching his forehead, but facing Victoria Harper, he not only didn't mind her touch, but found it strangely pleasant, almost tingly. "No one said that," Ethan replied, his voice husky. Victoria Harper chuckled softly, though it was unclear what she found funny. Her gaze drifted down to his chin and lips. "Your stubble's growing out. Let me shave it for you while I'm at it." Ethan refused. "I can shave it myself back in my room. It's no trouble. I have the tool right here. It'll be quick." Victoria Harper had already pulled a blade from her pocket. It was an eyebrow razor, very sharp. "Don't move. I wouldn't want to cut your face." There was a hint of forcefulness in Victoria Harper's tone. She maintained her position, still standing behind Ethan, but leaned forward to reach his chin. As Victoria Harper's fingertips hooked his chin to lift it, Ethan's entire line of sight was blocked by her chest, completely obscuring the sky. Ethan didn't react at first, clearly stunned. Victoria Harper remained oblivious. As her bosom pressed closer, Ethan held his breath, lurched sideways, and fell heavily to the ground. The sudden movement startled Victoria Harper immensely. "What's wrong?" Victoria Harper's face turned pale, her right hand trembling as she held the eyebrow razor. "That was close. She almost cut Ethan's face." "I'm fine." This was the first time Ethan had lost his composure like this. His entire face flushed red, even his neck turned pink. His hair had been simply trimmed by Victoria Harper, longer than a buzz cut, giving him a sunny, energetic look. Just as Victoria Harper had said, his forehead looked good, and revealing it made his features appear more defined, especially deepening the look of his eyes and brows. The haircut not only made him more handsome, but also looked refreshing. Facing Victoria Harper's confused gaze, Ethan could only look away. He couldn't possibly say, "Your chest was about to press against my face just now." He clearly had no improper thoughts about Victoria Harper, treating her like an elder just as he had yesterday. But in that moment, his breathing had quickened, and an inappropriate thought had actually surfaced. Could Victoria Harper be intentionally trying to seduce him? Ethan got up, brushing the dust off his clothes. "I brought my own razor, so I don't need your help shaving." Seeing him about to leave, Victoria Harper grabbed his hand and suddenly asked, "Ethan, if it were a wedding ceremony, would you care about the other person's age?" Victoria Harper looked at Ethan with an ambiguous glint in her eyes. Even the usually slow to react Ethan sensed something wasn't right. He pulled his hand free and dodged when Victoria Harper tried to grab him again. "I would. Just like you don't like younger guys, I don't like older women, whether they're like older sisters or like Aunt Margaret." Victoria Harper's expression froze, her grip tightening on the eyebrow razor. After speaking, Ethan quickly returned to his room. He admitted he was fleeing. Just now, he had sensed danger. Once away from Victoria Harper, Ethan's mind gradually cleared, and his heart rate returned to normal. He touched his hair, then removed the plastic bag tied around his neck. "Looks like I'll have to keep my distance from Victoria Harper from now on." When Ethan came out after shaving, all the other guests were up. Grace Parker had made a large pot of oatmeal with bacon bits, along with coleslaw. Everyone who tried it praised it. "Ethan, we were waiting for you. Come sit down and eat." Logan Prescott called Ethan over. As Ethan approached, Logan took a closer look. "Hey, your hairstyle changed?" "Yeah, this cut makes you look much sharper." "Ethan, this hairstyle really suits you." "Very handsome." Logan Prescott and Christopher Foster chimed in with compliments. Olivia Bennett didn't say anything, but she kept looking at Ethan, her gaze not leaving him even after he walked closer. People say a new hairstyle can change a person. Olivia Bennett had seen plenty of handsome men during her time in a girl group. Ethan hadn't ranked high on her list. That's why she couldn't understand what Amelia Harper saw in him when their marriage alliance was arranged. Looking now, Ethan did have some appeal. Previously, he just hadn't found the right style. Acting as if nothing had happened, Victoria Harper looked at Ethan's hair and teased, "I cut it. How is it? Not bad skills, right?" Logan Prescott gave her a thumbs up. "You could open a barber shop. Who knows how long we'll be staying here? If my hair gets long, Can I ask you to cut it? Victoria Harper replied, I only know how to do buzz cuts. I can't do your style. In truth, she could, but she didn't want to touch anyone other than Ethan. Christopher Foster interjected, the director mentioned we might get to go home for a visit in a week. Your hair won't grow that fast. Ethan sat down. A bowl of untouched oatmeal sat before him, served by Grace Parker. Seeing him take a sip, she asked, how's the oatmeal I made? Compared to before. Tasting the familiar flavor, he knew instantly it was made by Grace Parker. Memories surfaced, thinking back to high school when Grace Parker's specialty was making various kinds of porridge, her best being oatmeal with bacon bits. He could always eat 3 bowls or more. So many years had passed, yet the taste of this oatmeal hadn't changed at all. But what good was it if the oatmeal hadn't changed? It hasn't changed much. Still the same as before. Grace Parker smiled, holding her bowl. Victoria Harper scooped up some oatmeal with her small spoon. I didn't expect the award-winning actress to have this skill. Teach me sometime. I want to learn too. Grace Parker instantly turned cold. Maybe some other time. Olivia Bennett, having studied acting, observed everyone keenly, taking in their expressions. From all indications, Grace Parker liked Ethan. And Victoria Harper? Her actions looked very much like jealous rivalry. Olivia Bennett silently ate her oatmeal, her good mood suddenly sinking. Turns out quite a few people liked Ethan. She wondered how Amelia Harper would react if she saw this. The director announced today's task, helping the elderly in the Oak Ridge community. Oak Ridge community had many elderly residents living alone. Children moved away, spouses passed on, leaving them guarding old houses alone, standing at doorways waiting from dawn till dusk. As Ethan accepted the task sheet, the director suddenly patted his shoulder. Ethan, focus on your work. Don't overthink other things, and don't pay attention to what people say. Ethan looked bewildered. He didn't know the director was giving him preemptive psychological preparation. The director couldn't hide the online situation forever. Ethan would find out eventually. The director then addressed everyone. Just a reminder, tonight we'll release the DM matches. Think carefully about who you want to send yours to. Don't miss your chance. The guests split up to head out. Along the way, people greeted Ethan. In just 2 or 3 days, Ethan had already built a good rapport with the people of Oak Ridge community. There wasn't much entertainment in Oak Ridge. People liked gathering to chat or play cards. When Ethan had free time, he would join them, and back and forth, he got familiar with everyone, especially popular with the grandpas and grandmas at the Silver Fox Club. Ethan, where are you headed? I'm going to Uncle Miller's place. Uncle Miller's up on the hill, just keep going up. He's home alone. Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. No problem. When you're done, let's go fishing this afternoon. We'll see. Uncle Miller's house was quite messy. After greeting him, Ethan helped tidy up the rooms, cleaning inside and out. Knowing Uncle Miller had stomach problems, Ethan steamed a large batch of buns for him. He wrapped the uneaten buns in plastic wrap and put them in the freezer, instructing him to steam them when he wanted to eat. After steaming, roasting them briefly over a fire could effectively alleviate stomach ailments. Besides stomach issues, Uncle Miller also had chronic arthritis, which pained him at night. Ethan squatted on the floor and massaged his legs. You seem very skilled at taking care of people, Uncle Miller remarked. He had a slightly cranky temper and hadn't taken to Ethan initially. But Ethan was meticulous and efficient and very patient with him, so Uncle Miller gradually let go of his prejudice. He even thought, if only Ethan were my son. Grandma Miller used to have frequent leg pain, so I specifically learned relevant care, maintenance, and massage techniques. Besides being related to caring for Grandma Miller, the biggest reason was himself. In his past life, Ethan had injured his leg, and as he got older, he suffered from constant leg pain, especially on rainy days. After finishing the leg massage for Uncle Miller, Ethan noticed the kitchen was low on firewood, so he grabbed the hatchet and went to chop some more. Uncle Miller called him over to rest. You've been busy almost all day? Sit down and rest for a bit. It's okay. I'm not tired. Ethan did whatever he could. The old man wasn't in good health, and he didn't have anyone around to look after him. Once Ethan left this time, he didn't know when he'd be able to see him again. When asked about his family, Uncle Miller was reluctant to say much, just mentioning they were working jobs out of town and he barely saw them all year round. The last time was 2 years ago. His memory wasn't great, and he'd almost forgotten what his grandson looked like. The next time he saw them, he said, might be the day he died. Uncle Miller's pessimistic words struck a chord with many. They say you raised children to support you in old age, but where was the support? Ethan's Twitch chat was getting rowdy. Some accused him of being fake and putting on a show, while others were cursing him out. Because the insults were so vulgar, the chat received multiple warnings and the director eventually just disabled the live comments. Uncle Miller only had homegrown vegetables. He picked a lot for Ethan to take back. Ethan couldn't refuse, so he just took a few. Uncle Miller, I'm heading back now. I'll come see you again when I have time. Thank you for today. It's no problem. I'll be staying around here for a few more days. Just call me if you need anything. Watching the various Twitch streams, it was clear Ethan was doing the most work. You could clearly tell his concern for the old man was genuine. Viewers who couldn't post live comments started trending hashtags on Twitter or spammed the chats on other contestants' Twitch streams. Might as well call this show the Ethan Show. I don't get why the production crew invited someone like Ethan. He's such a show-off. The way he acts around the old man looks so fake. He seems warm enough to outsiders, so why doesn't he show any concern for his own parents? I heard Ethan's had a bad character since he was a kid. His parents poured resources into him. But not only was he ungrateful, he constantly tarnished the Johnson family name with his behavior. Utterly morally corrupt. No wonder his parents disowned him. What parents wouldn't love their child? If they cut ties with him, it must be his fault. Since Ethan took over Johnson Group, it's lost $100 million. Mountains of gold wouldn't be enough for him to squander. I can't imagine how much Amelia would have suffered if she married him. Good thing William came back and took her away. William and Amelia are the real deal. How do you explain Amelia secretly calling Olivia Bennett to ask Ethan about his ex? What's to explain? Amelia's participating from the observation lounge, watching the stream with us. Having her call Olivia to ask questions is just a script arranged by the production crew. I feel like Ethan is genuinely caring towards the old man. Look at his massage technique. That's not something you learn overnight. He must have been doing it for a long time. Grace Parker, can you stay away from Ethan? Standing on their moral high ground, they attacked everything they disliked, speaking without restraint, saying whatever they pleased. Grace Parker's Twitch chat especially was nearly overrun by Ethan's haters, telling her to stay away from Ethan or they'd start flaming her too. Although the director remained tight-lipped, they couldn't stop news from leaking in via phone calls from the outside. Victoria Harper, Grace Parker, and Olivia Bennett received calls almost simultaneously, informing them about the trending hate topics surrounding Ethan. Victoria Harper's face turned cold, her eyes darkening like 2 drops of thick ink. Anyone who knew her well recognized this meant she was angry, and the consequences of angering Victoria Harper were terrifying. One move by the Johnson family, kicking him when he's down. For a little bit of profit, they wouldn't hesitate to sell out their own son. They have no shame. Grace Parker received a call from her agent. As soon as she answered, it was just like the day before yesterday. Grace Parker, stay away from Ethan. Do you hear me? He'll ruin you. Don't ignore what I'm saying. This time it's really different. Ethan is being trashed all over the internet. Even his parents have abandoned him. Hearing this, Grace Parker didn't stop to think, immediately going online and opening Twitter. Sure enough, the trending list was filled with densely packed negative topics about Ethan. They called him a player, morally corrupt, of low character, neglectful of his parents, a spendthrift who ruins his family. Just a quick glance made Grace Parker's breath catch. These netizens didn't know Ethan at all. What right did they have to humiliate him like this? Based on a few fabricated AI face swap pictures, anyone could see there was something wrong with those photos. Grace Parker trembled all over, her eyes reddening. She wished she could just dive in there and tear those people apart with her bare hands. She knew better than anyone what kind of person Ethan was. He was filial, kind, gentle, and patient. For anyone he cared about, he would do everything he could to treat them well. If someone showed him a little kindness, he would repay it double, even tenfold. Those people calling him unfilial. From the very beginning, they were the ones who didn't want him. Later, when they saw he could be useful, they picked him back up like discarded trash. And now they were squeezing out his last bit of value. Where I did people like that have to be called parents, giving birth but not raising him, only knowing how to leech off him. If anyone was cutting ties, it should be Ethan cutting them off. Grace Parker, are you listening? You can't get involved in this mess. Stay as far away as possible. You've worked so hard all these years to achieve your current status and body of work. Do you really want to throw it all away? Nobody wants to destroy years of hard work and their career. 5 years ago, Grace Parker herself had given up Ethan for her career. Ethan isn't like that, Grace protested. His parents never liked him. They dumped him on his grandmother to raise when he was very young. And now, they're cutting ties? It should be Ethan cutting them off. It's their fault. If I just step forward and vouch for him. Don't you dare. The agent, Lillian Bennett, took a deep breath. Grace Parker, you are forbidden from doing this. This isn't that simple. This coordinated smearing campaign against Ethan clearly has someone powerful pulling the strings behind the scenes. Only Harper Enterprises could orchestrate something on this scale. We can't afford to offend Harper Enterprises. Not only will you fail to protect him, but you'll also be blacklisted and shelved. Lillian laid out the reality, hoping Grace Parker would look at the situation calmly. They had worked together for many years. Lillian Bennett had invested a lot of time and energy into her, fighting for resources for her over the years. Grace Parker had lived up to expectations, becoming a $10 billion box office queen in just a few short years. Beyond being work partners, they were also friends. Lillian Bennett truly didn't want to see Grace Parker give up everything for a man. It really wasn't worth it. If Ethan still liked Grace Parker, it might be one thing, but watching the live stream, it seemed he no longer had feelings for her. Grace Parker's one-sided effort was like banging her head against a brick wall. Grace Parker had a stubborn personality. Early in her career, she filmed a fantasy martial arts drama. It involved all sorts of wire work and fight scenes. Due to the high difficulty, other actors used stunt doubles, but she insisted on doing it herself. She practiced martial arts arduously for half a month, ending up covered in bruises. This stubbornness was both her strength and her greatest weakness. Simple persuasion and warnings were useless. Her agent, Lillian Bennett, had to resort to concrete threats. Grace Parker, don't you dare ignore my words. I'm warning you for your own good. If you dare to speak out for Ethan, I will immediately have people pull you out of there. The company can afford the contract termination penalty. Calm down and think it over carefully. Grace Parker froze, her fingers hovering over the Twitter app. Lillian Bennett had hung up right after a warning, and before Grace could even react, the production staff had forcibly confiscated her phone. No phone meant no Twitter, but she was live streaming on Twitch right now for the show. She could absolutely defend Ethan in the Twitch chat. Grace started walking towards the cameraman, then stopped dead in her tracks after just 2 steps. Was speaking out really a good idea right now? She had no concrete proof, just her word. Netizens wouldn't necessarily buy it, and her own fans might even turn against her. Besides, her agent had explicitly warned her, speak out, and she'd be pulled from the show. That meant losing her chance to pursue Ethan on camera. If she left, Victoria Harper would have absolutely no competition. Just this morning, Victoria Harper had been practically preening and posing while cutting Ethan's hair. Women saw right through that act, but most men fell for it. Add in the show's paired dates and constant proximity. Victoria loved to tempt men. What if Ethan couldn't resist and ended up with her? Judging by the production crew's attitude, they weren't going to kick Ethan off. And if Ethan did leave, she'd lose her chance to win him over anyway. Grace didn't know how long she stood there deliberating, but she started feeling dizzy. Leaning against the wall, she slowly sank into a squat, the urge to defend him dissolving like spit swallowed down her throat. Since the director wasn't saying anything, she'd pretend she didn't know. She'd keep Ethan in the dark for now. If it became absolutely impossible to hide, then she'd step up and speak out, showing Ethan what it meant to stand by someone through thick and thin. For now, all she needed to do was stay by Ethan's side and do nothing else. Public outrage was always temporary. This storm would pass. Having made up her mind, Grace slowly pushed herself back up. She wasn't sure how long she'd been squatting. She swayed, her legs numb and vision momentarily darkening. The cameraman approached, camera raised. Ms. Parker, you look a bit pale. Are you all right? Grace had already composed herself, adopting an air of perfect normalcy. I'm fine. Let's go. In the live comments, viewers were buzzing with curiosity about who had called Grace and whether she already knew about the Twitter trends. Was that her agent calling? Telling her about the Twitter trends? If Grace Parker really cares about her fans' opinions, she should distance herself from Ethan now. Judging by her expression, it looked like an unimportant call. No reaction on her face at all. Could Grace Parker still not know about Ethan's scandal? I'm scared she's going to get hurt. Can someone please tell her to stay away from that scumbag Ethan? Olivia Bennett was the last to find out about the trending topics. Everyone else had obediently handed over their phones, and so had she. But she had secretly brought a smartwatch. Not only could it make calls, but it could also access the internet and check trending topics. Olivia had her moments of cleverness. To avoid detection by the staff, she had tucked the smartwatch into her bra on the first day. Since she had her own room, the watch had remained undiscovered. Every night, she would sneak a peek at the online buzz. The discussion about her online wasn't very high. Clearly, those netizens had no taste. Seeing that most people seemed to be shipping her and Christopher, she had decided to play along for the fans these past 2 days, interacting with Christopher more and putting on a show for their CP. Tonight, they were supposed to send heart signal texts, messages indicating interest. Olivia wanted to double-check if the netizens were still supporting her and Christopher. Her need to reconfirm stemmed from her hesitation, a hesitation fueled by frequent, intrusive thoughts of Ethan. Olivia opened Twitter on her watch. Aside from a small screen, it had full functionality. The moment she logged in, she was hit with the trending topics about Ethan. She blinked. If there was one person on this show with the highest discussion rate, it was undeniably Ethan. Unlike the other contestants, his fame came entirely from being flamed online. Olivia had assumed it was the same old trivial complaints, but this time was different. There were 10 separate trending topics about Ethan alone, each with scorching hot engagement. The most prominent accusation screamed, Ethan was a simp. He had frequented nightclubs multiple times while dating Amelia. He cheated, juggling multiple women. That was supposedly why Amelia had jilted him at their engagement party. Ethan's character was so rotten that even his own parents had disowned him, kicking him out of the Johnson family. From now on, Ethan was just an ordinary person, no longer the young master of the Johnson family, stripped of his background, status, and, most importantly, his money. She recognized every word, but strung together, they made no sense. Ethan cheated multiple times while dating Amelia. Ethan was kicked out of the Johnson family. Olivia didn't know the details of how Ethan became estranged from the Johnsons, but she knew for a fact he hadn't cheated on Amelia during their relationship. He hadn't frequented nightclubs or fooled around. The one time he'd set foot in a nightclub was to look for Amelia. Olivia stared at the grainy, secretly taken photo of Ethan in a club circulating online. She remembered that night vividly. She and Amelia had booked a private room at a club with friends, playing truth or dare. Amelia lost a round, and someone dared her to text Ethan, telling him to come find her at a nightclub. No specific location given. Then she had to turn off her phone immediately after sending the text to see how long it would take Ethan to find her. Rosewood City had countless nightclubs and bars. That night, Ethan had practically sprinted through all of them. When he finally found Amelia, breathless and frantic, they were just leaving after finishing their game. Ethan had looked utterly wretched. Hair messy, collar askew, shirt soaked with sweat. His pale face made the bloodshot rims of his eyes stand out starkly. The look he gave Amelia was filled with sheer worry and panic. Imagine, your girlfriend texts you from a nightclub, then her phone goes dead. Ethan couldn't reach her or any of her friends. He'd broken out in a cold sweat, terrified something had happened to Amelia. He hadn't dared to stop searching, running halfway across the city before finally calling the police. When he finally found her, safe and sound, he was met not with relief or apology, but with a chorus of mockery from the group. Wow, Ethan, didn't know you were such a simp. Seriously, what a simp. Look at him, like an exhausted dog panting with its tongue out. How long did it take you, Ethan? It's been 2 hours since she texted. You're way too slow. Guess you don't know Amelia well enough. So dumb. One after another, they belittled Ethan. Olivia admitted, shamefully, that she had chimed in with a jeer too. She couldn't even remember what she'd said, but she vividly remembered Ethan forcing a smile and saying, his voice strained, "Thank God you're okay." She wondered now if Amelia had felt even a flicker of emotion back then. After all, even she, an outsider, had been moved by his desperate relief. And now, netizens were using photos from that night to shame Ethan, claiming he spent his days hopping between clubs. That's not what happened. Amelia knew the truth, too. Why hadn't she said anything to defend him? It would only take a few words. Or was Amelia the one spreading these rumors? Anyone in their circle, forget friends, anyone who even knew Amelia Harper and Ethan, knew just how much Ethan had simped for Amelia over the past 3 years. No matter what, he was always there at her beck and call. He never lost his temper with her while they were dating. And after they moved in together, he became the perfect homemaker. Laundry, cooking, cleaning. He handled literally everything. Amelia was notoriously high maintenance. If Ethan hadn't been so accommodating, she would have dumped him long ago. Accusations like him being a club-hopping scumbag, cheating during their relationship, giving Amelia reason to doubt his fidelity, or giving her the cold shoulder. It was all utter nonsense. It was normal for netizens not to know the truth, but how could Amelia not know? Even Olivia Bennett, who had never particularly liked Ethan, found this wave of online hate baffling and felt indignant about it. Why wasn't Amelia going online to clarify things? Did she really not care about Ethan at all? But just last night, during that adrenaline bonding thing, she'd specifically called Olivia to ask Ethan those questions. Olivia Bennett bit her finger, checking her watch. The things people were saying online were truly vile. Her eyes were starting to hurt from reading it all. She stood up and called Amelia Harper. She wasn't sure if Amelia would even pick up right now, just as she thought that the call connected. "Hello. Amelia, it's Olivia Bennett." Olivia said immediately. "Aren't you filming the show? Where did you get a phone to call me?" "A stuck-in-a-watch phone. Don't tell anyone." "Amelia, I saw the Twitter trends. Ethan's getting dragged online by everyone. All that baseless stuff." Shouldn't you help him explain? I think netizens would listen to you. Amelia Harper asked. What's going on online? Could Amelia really not know? Olivia stressed. They're saying he was hitting clubs and cheating while he was with you. He was really good to you when you were together. Everyone knows he was a total simp. How could he possibly cheat and do those things? Amelia Harper was silent for a moment. Are you worried about Ethan? What does his business have to do with you? Why are you so concerned? The rapid-fire questions stunned Olivia. Don't you care about Ethan? Amelia Harper scoffed. Why would I care about him? But last night you called me and had me ask him for you. I don't want to talk about last night again. Asking you to help me ask those things was just part of the script the production crew arranged. I'm not interested in him. The icy tone, the cold words. Olivia didn't know why her chest tightened. She felt angry on Ethan's behalf. Realizing this startled even herself. She never thought she'd see the day she'd be angry at Amelia Harper because of Ethan. Olivia took a deep breath. You were with Ethan for so many years. Don't you have any feelings for him at all? No, I don't give a damn about him. Olivia Bennett, if you still consider me your best friend, stop caring about Ethan from now on. Stay away from him on the show. Olivia gripped the watch phone tightly, unable to believe Amelia could be so indifferent. Initially, she suspected Amelia might have started the online rumors slandering Ethan to deflect from last night's drama and make him a scapegoat. But then she thought, after 3 years together, you'd get attached even to a pet bunny after that long. Amelia couldn't possibly be that ruthless. Now this phone call, this conversation, confirmed her initial suspicion without a doubt. Olivia was deeply disappointed. It seems you really hate Ethan. Amelia Harper's voice was grave. Yes, I hate him. So, as my friend, you have to hate him with me. I'll let it go today, but if you speak up for him in front of me again, then we don't need to be friends anymore. Amelia's attitude was cold, and if you listen closely, you could feel the threat in her words. In Amelia Harper's view, friends shared the same enemies. You couldn't like someone she hated. Amelia could say this so decisively because she was certain Olivia didn't want to lose her as a friend. After all, Olivia wasn't very popular. People in this circle were, frankly, snobs, and many looked down on Olivia Bennett. Olivia was the second child in the Bennett family, with an older sister and a younger brother. She was the overlooked one, meaning she wouldn't stand a chance fighting for a share of the Johnson family trust. An heiress with no real power commanded little respect, especially since she had willingly stooped to become a minor actress. Amelia Harper was the first person to be genuinely friendly to her, accompanying her to birthday charity balls, shopping trips, beauty appointments. She always sent greetings on holidays, talked for hours on the phone when Olivia couldn't sleep, and they could rant about anything together. Olivia knew more about Amelia's affairs with William and Ethan than anyone else because Amelia would tell her everything voluntarily. They talked about everything. They were each other's best friends, and best friends wouldn't betray each other over a man. Olivia unconsciously bit her lip hard, only releasing it when she felt the pain. Okay, I promise you, I won't ask about you and Ethan anymore. I'll stay far away from him from now on. Olivia, many things are beyond my control. With Ethan's reputation being so bad now, telling you to stay away from him is also because I'm afraid it'll affect you. I know. Olivia suddenly lost all energy to continue the conversation. Just wanted to end the call quickly. Olivia, I'm filming over here too. I'll keep watching your Twitch streaming. Amelia's voice softened, her improved mood palpable. Olivia's body stiffened. A cold sweat inexplicably broke out on her back, and her scalp prickled. She looked at the camera hidden by her clothes, suddenly feeling as if a pair of eyes were watching her from there. Coming down the mountain, Ethan ran into Victoria Harper. She was crouched on the ground, motionless, with no cameraman in sight. The moment Ethan saw her, the morning's events flashed through his mind. A strange feeling arose in his heart. He didn't want to be alone with her, but they had already met, and ignoring her, pretending he hadn't seen her, was impossible. Ethan paused, stopping in his tracks. What are you doing here? Where's your cameraman? His camera malfunctioned. He took it back to get it fixed. I can't walk right now. I twisted my ankle. Victoria Harper extended her left leg. Her ankle was red and swollen. It wasn't just a sprain. There were scrapes from her knee down to her calf. She must have fallen here. Are you okay? Victoria Harper smoothed her brow, lifted her head, and looked at him with a smile, bathed in the sunset glow. What? Worried about me? Even if they weren't friends, they were colleagues. A simple expression of concern between colleagues was normal. Ethan didn't reply, but the gentle look in his eyes revealed his thoughts. Victoria Harper sighed. If you don't want to deal with me, just go back and get someone for me. I'll be fine here alone, just a few too many mosquitoes. First, it was just my hand that got hurt, now my foot too. She swatted at the mosquitoes buzzing around her as she spoke. Victoria Harper had fair skin. Even a light touch usually left a red mark. Mosquito bites swelled up instantly, standing out conspicuously on her legs. Ethan couldn't possibly leave her there alone. Even if the cameras weren't rolling, he would have helped her. With the cameras present, however, he felt unsure how to approach physical contact. He bent down and asked tentatively, "Can you stand up?" "Yes." Using the strength of Ethan's arm, Victoria Harper stood up. Her leg injury was quite severe. She limped when she walked. It would have been manageable on flat ground, but this was a rugged, uneven mountain path. Plus, it had rained last night, making the surface slippery. It was getting late, and they still needed to get back, cook dinner, and eat. Ethan didn't want to waste time on the path. He glanced at the camera, then handed the bag he was carrying to Victoria Harper. "Hold this for me. I'll carry you back." Once Victoria Harper took the bag, he squatted down in front of her. "Get on." With his back to her, Ethan felt Victoria Harper draw near. Two soft mounds pressed against his back. Ethan's body stiffened. The more he tried to ignore it, the more distinct the sensation became. This time, he directly experienced Victoria Harper's softness. Whether intentionally or not, Victoria Harper pressed her entire body close, her hands lightly hooking around his neck. She always carried a faint, gentle fragrance, not overpowering like perfume. A tickle brushed against the back of his neck, her hair. "Am I heavy?" "Not heavy." She was light enough for an easy princess carry. Victoria Harper had the best figure among the three female guests, well-proportioned, with an excellent bust-waist-hip ratio, a perfect S-curve. While carrying her, Ethan made a subtle gesture. He kept his fists clenched, avoiding any unnecessary contact. Leaning against his back, Victoria Harper asked, "What's in the bag?" "Vegetables Uncle Miller gave me. He grew them himself, no pesticides." "What have you been busy with today?" Victoria Harper could clearly feel that Ethan's body temperature was much higher than it had been that morning, the kind of heat that usually comes after strenuous exercise. The muscles in his arms were rock hard, veins bulging as if pumped full of blood. "Chopped some firewood, did housework, cooked." "You did that much?" Victoria Harper rested her chin on his shoulder and said suddenly, suggestively, "It's good to be young, full of boundless energy." Ethan's body tensed. If he hadn't been clenching his fists tightly, he might have almost dropped her. This wasn't the first time Victoria Harper had found an opportunity to tease him, making people mistakenly think she liked him. Ethan had always dismissed it as his imagination, but her words and actions repeatedly contradicted that. He found her increasingly hard to figure out. Avoiding the microphone, Victoria Harper asked in a low voice, "Who are you sending the adrenaline bonding message to tonight?" Ethan remained silent, like a walking block of wood. She knew he wouldn't answer. Victoria Harper sighed. She had also had a busy day, helping look after children and tutor them. It was during this time she saw the Twitter trends online. The director had specifically instructed her not to tell Ethan yet, to avoid affecting his mood during filming. The production crew wasn't planning to speak out for Ethan at the moment. Free publicity was still publicity, even negative attention. Infamy was still fame. The director also firmly believed in the principle of not getting trapped in self-defense. The burden of proof lies with the accuser. Those baseless AI-generated images online would be exposed sooner or later. What they needed to do was capture Ethan's truest side, highlight his positive qualities, give the audience the most direct impression, and hopefully change their perception of him. You can't pretend to be a good person forever. Who could keep up the act without slipping up? The filming period wasn't long, but in these 3 days, the production crew felt Ethan was a hidden gem, well worth exploring. He treated others gently and politely, knew how to cook, focused on solving problems when faced with difficulties, never complained or grumbled. He came across as a calm, composed, and very positive young man. He cooked well and was good at housework too. He showed genuine respect and care for the elderly. Like today, he not only helped Uncle Miller chop firewood and cook, but also gave him a bath and trim his nails. If it were them taking care of the elderly, they definitely couldn't have been so thorough. It was precisely because of his dedication to the elderly that online opinions had started to improve, with people beginning to question if someone was intentionally slandering Ethan with rumors. This was a good thing, something the production crew wanted to see. Victoria Harper disagreed with the production crew. They didn't want to speak out because it seemed troublesome and they were afraid of offending Harper Enterprises. But she wasn't afraid. She couldn't just stand by and do nothing while people attacked Ethan online. Therefore, Victoria Harper had secretly contacted employees under her name to find evidence and post it online. Ethan's life was straightforward, his background easy to investigate. Ethan didn't need to know about the online drama or worry about it, because she would handle all the trouble for him. When the time was right, she would get a lawyer, inform him, and they would sue those who needed suing. Ideally, they'd make every single person who spread baseless rumors face the consequences, especially Amelia Harper. Victoria Harper stared at the birthmark on Ethan's neck. My beloved just needs to be happy. Someone will be there to protect him from behind the scenes, ensuring his peace. To avoid misunderstandings, Ethan put Victoria Harper down as soon as they reached the courtyard, then helped her inside. Christopher, being sharp-eyed, was the first to notice. Victoria Harper, what happened to your leg? I accidentally fell on the path. It's nothing serious, just need some antiseptic. Logan also came over upon hearing the commotion. It looks quite serious. There's a first aid kit inside. You should treat it. Ethan helped Victoria Harper inside to sit down and found the first aid kit. Grace Parker saw this and immediately took it. I'll help her clean the wound. You go check on the kitchen. It's Olivia Bennett and Christopher's turn to cook today, and they don't know how. Okay, this suited Ethan perfectly. Grace Parker glanced at Ethan, but this time, instead of clinging to him as usual, she quickly looked away. Victoria Harper noticed this behavior. She calmly observed Grace, sensing that today, Grace Parker seemed a bit guilty or unsure of herself when facing Ethan. Victoria Harper didn't let Grace Parker treat her wound. It's just a small injury. I can do it myself. Hearing this, Grace Parker handed the cotton swab to Victoria Harper. Victoria Harper didn't use iodine, but an antiseptic solution, which stung the wound more. With Ethan not around, she couldn't be bothered to pretend to be delicate. She wasn't afraid of pain. Sometimes, she even enjoyed the stimulation it brought to her senses. An injury like this was nothing to her. Growing up, much worse injuries happen often. Ethan entered the kitchen. Olivia Bennett was sitting and tending the fire. When she saw Ethan, she also quickly averted her gaze, pressing her lips together silently, blatantly ignoring him. She hadn't been like this in the morning. Had he somehow offended her? Ethan didn't try to initiate conversation, adhering to the principle of avoiding complications. Christopher had already prepared the ingredients and was just waiting for him to stir-fry. Make the fire bigger. These dishes need to be stir-fried over high heat to taste good. Olivia Bennett still didn't respond, but she did add more firewood to the cast-iron stove. Ethan added, "Step back a bit. Be careful, the oil might splash and burn you." Olivia Bennett obediently stood up and moved away. Although silent, she was much more compliant than usual, not making any unpleasant comments. But her sudden quietness was quite unsettling. If Ethan had genuinely made her unhappy, knowing Olivia's temper, she wouldn't tolerate it. She would start cursing directly, roll her eyes without caring about her image, and completely ignore his words, certainly not follow his instructions. Since the problem didn't seem to be with him, what could have happened to make Olivia Bennett act like this? Everyone was exhausted that day, not even in the mood for conversation. The atmosphere was strange, especially during dinner. Olivia Bennett, usually the chatterbox, was quiet and noticeably distant towards Ethan. No matter what he said, she ignored him, almost like she was avoiding him. Grace Parker was acting odd too, her eyes flickering, hesitating as if she wanted to say something but held back, clearly hiding something on her mind. Dinner finished after 8. They took turns showering and doing laundry. Ethan was last. Grace Parker was washing clothes in the courtyard. The directors had already retired for the night, so there were no cameras following them. Seeing Ethan emerge from the shower, Grace Parker called out to him, "Ethan, my mom said she misses you. She asked if you have time to visit her. She wants to make you clam chowder." Ethan hadn't been back much since returning to the Johnson family. Grace Parker's sudden mention brought back memories of frequently visiting her house as a child. Aunt Linda had always been incredibly kind to him, always having Grace bring him treats. She had even attended a parent-teacher conference for him once. "Once the show's finished recording, I'll go visit Aunt Linda," Ethan replied. Seeing Ethan still remembered her mother gave Grace Parker a bit more confidence. "Who are you sending tonight's heart signal text to?" "The show rules say we can't tell." "Will you send it to me then? Give me a hint." "No hints. You'll know when the time comes." Among the female guests, besides herself, Victoria was the one Ethan interacted with the most. Grace would rather Ethan send his signal to Olivia Bennett than to Victoria. She reminded him, "There's only half an hour left before the messages are sent. You should hurry back to your room." "Okay, yeah. You head back first," Ethan said. His attitude towards Grace Parker remained consistently lukewarm, making him hard to approach. After taking a couple of steps, Grace suddenly stopped, turned around, and asked, "Ethan, about those questions regarding your exes last night. If it were me, how would you rate me? Is that important?" People you've broken up with are like strangers. Do you care what strangers think of you? Did you forget I'm an actress? Of course, actresses care what strangers think. Seeing this might be putting Ethan on the spot, Grace didn't push further. It's fine if you don't want to answer. I was just asking casually. She just couldn't accept it. She and Ethan had only been together for a year, and even then, their acting careers meant they spent more time apart than together, always having to meet in secret. The thought that Amelia had been with Ethan for 3 years gnawed at her. She couldn't blame anyone but herself for the choices she'd made back then. She had thought that once her career took off, she could win Ethan back, balancing career and love. But now, it was as if Ethan had completely forgotten her. She desperately wanted to prove herself superior to Amelia. Between the two exes, who remained unforgettable in his heart. A woman like Amelia didn't deserve Ethan's affection. She hadn't cherished him during their 3 years together and had even kicked him while he was down after the breakup. At 10 o'clock sharp, the directors distributed the phones. The guests returned to their rooms, cameras following closely. They had 10 minutes to send their texts before handing the phones back. As the texts were sent, the observation lounge geared up for the connection predictions. The rule this time was that each observer would use their own panel to draw the connections. Anyone who got all connections right would earn a diamond. It was an individual competition. While the 6 guests discussed amongst themselves, Amelia silently stared at the panel in her hands, her gaze uncontrollably drifting to Ethan's photo. Sophia Reynolds was the first to draw her lines, making a bold assumption. She connected all 3 female guests to Ethan. My gut feeling is that all 3 of them have feelings for Ethan. The younger guy, the childhood sweethearts, the bickering pair, they're all compelling ships. Logan Prescott will probably send his text to Grace Parker. He mentioned being her fan on day 1. Christopher Foster will undoubtedly pick Olivia Bennett. He's been so obvious. As for Ethan, I'm hesitant. Being too popular makes it difficult. Let's use elimination. He definitely won't pick anyone related to his exes, so that rules out Victoria and Olivia Bennett. He'll choose Grace Parker. The host, Liam Carter, also connected Grace Parker and Ethan. I agree. They've known each other since childhood, after all. Psychological profiler Nathaniel Ellis shook his head, disagreeing. I actually don't think Ethan will text Grace Parker. I've observed him consistently avoiding her. So between Victoria and Olivia Bennett, who will Ethan choose? Ethan's line was the hardest to predict. Everyone hesitated. William pondered for a moment. Let's go with Victoria. They've had the most interactions so far, and Victoria even cut his hair this morning. Just for that, I think he might send a thank you message. Award-winning actor Daniel Ford offered his perspective. Let's not overcomplicate things. The text doesn't necessarily have to be a confession of feelings. It could very well be a thank you note, just like William suggested. Sophia Reynolds turned to Amelia. We've been discussing this for ages. Amelia, who do you think Ethan will text? You've known him the longest. You should understand him well. Amelia replied, her face expressionless. Let's go with William's idea. Choose Victoria. Choose Victoria, because there's absolutely no chance of anything happening between Victoria and Ethan. What about the female guest choices? Sophia asked. Once she had a direction, Amelia connected the lines quickly. Everyone looked at her panel. Grace Parker and Logan Prescott were connected to each other. Victoria and Olivia Bennett both sent texts to Christopher Foster, and Christopher Foster sent his to Olivia Bennett. So no one chose Ethan? A cold sneer formed in Amelia's mind. His reputation is so bad right now. Who would pick him? Everyone else had the same realization. True. Ethan was currently labeled a simp, which would definitely affect things. Sophia Reynolds asked curiously, did Ethan really cheat on you when you were together? No comment. Sophia let out an audible scoff right to her face. What an act. She was certain Amelia had a hand in the recent wave of online hate directed at Ethan. Sophia didn't change her predictions. She put down her panel. Liam, let's reveal the results. The sooner we see them, the sooner we can clock off. All right. Liam Carter received the results video from the director. When the results were revealed, everyone's expressions changed. Not a single person had predicted correctly. The person whose face fell the hardest was Amelia. Grace Parker and Victoria had both sent their texts to Ethan. Olivia Bennett and Christopher Foster had sent texts to each other. Logan Prescott had sent his text to Grace Parker. And Ethan, he had actually sent his text to Olivia Bennett. Clatter. The pen fell from Amelia's hand. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the results. How could this be? Why would Victoria send a heart signal text to Ethan? Was she trying to mess with him, or was she deliberately going against her? And Grace Parker, as an actress, wasn't she afraid of losing fans, ruining her career, or being shelved by her company for sending Ethan a signal? And Ethan, Why did he text Olivia Bennett? Could it be that he actually liked her type? Or was he choosing her best friend just to spite her? Looking at it this way, my connections were the closest, Sophia Reynolds said, glancing over everyone's panels before her eyes settled on Amelia's. Noticing her pale face, Sophia's tone shifted slightly. Amelia, you look awful. Are you okay? Are you unhappy with these results? Right? After all, you messed up the most, Sophia said, seizing the chance to mock her relentlessly. To get on Amelia's good side, William had made the same picks, both guessing the connection between Olivia Bennett and Christopher. William put down the tablet in his hands, a flicker of embarrassment crossing his face. Sophia doodled hearts on her tablet with a pen. Judging by these messages, it seems like they don't really care about Ethan's reputation. Amelia listened for a moment, then sneered. Maybe they just don't know yet. Once they find out, that might change. Then let's keep watching. The twists are what make it interesting. But, Sophia paused, fixing her gaze on Amelia before asking casually, listening to you, Ethan really is as bad as they say on Twitter, huh? You must have had rotten luck being with him for 3 years. How did you even stand it? Amelia swallowed back the retorts churning in her throat. She slammed her tablet down on the table, stood up, and snapped, I don't need your concern. This time, no one stepped in to ease the tension. Amelia was simmering with rage, hostility surging through her. She feared that if she stayed any longer, she wouldn't be able to stop herself from throwing something or starting a fight with Sophia. Amelia shoved her chair back forcefully and stormed out of the observation lounge in her high heels. She didn't even want to see the messages anymore, afraid she wouldn't be able to handle what they said. It was somewhat understandable for Grace Parker to DM Ethan, perhaps out of lingering affection. But why was Victoria Harper getting involved? She was a couple of years older than Ethan. He'd even called her Andy before. As someone older, was she really that desperate? Olivia Bennett had spent the last few days doing nothing but mocking and belittling Ethan, her attitude towards him decidedly cold. And yet, Ethan had actually sent her a message. Amelia would have been annoyed if Ethan had sent a message to anyone. It felt as if her treasured bunny plush had suddenly sprung to life and slipped from her grasp. Sophia shouted after her retreating figure, Amelia, aren't you going to see the messages? The only response was the slam of a door. Before Sophia could react, William, sitting across from her, also got up. I'll go check on her. Sophia had initially quite liked William, but after the past 2 days, influenced by Amelia, she was finding him increasingly irritating. Seriously, who did the production crew cast for this? Sophia muttered. Filming isn't even finished, and she just walks off? No professionalism at all. With a temper like that, Amelia lasted 3 years with a scumbag? Don't make me laugh. Do you guys actually believe that? 'Cause I sure don't. Sophia had never liked Amelia, finding her pretentious and sickeningly sweet and fake. Maybe tone it down a bit, Liam advised. Sophia pursed her lips and shrugged. The others were used to Amelia's occasional sulks and tantrums. Usually, someone might try to smooth things over, but tonight, everyone was exhausted and lacked the energy to coddle her. The production crew didn't seem worried, so why should they be? Maybe this drama was exactly what the director was hoping for. Let's just see what the messages say, Liam suggested. Victoria Harper and Grace Parker were roommates. Message arrivals were announced by a notification sound. Grace Parker's phone pinged twice, and she eagerly fished it out. This morning's oatmeal porridge was delicious. Since the messages were anonymous, Grace Parker didn't know who sent it. She offered a silent little prayer, hoping it was from Ethan. With this hope, she stole a glance at Victoria Harper, who was practicing yoga on her bed, seemingly uninterested in her own phone. Grace Parker waited 10 minutes, but Victoria Harper's phone remained silent, confirming Victoria hadn't received any messages this round. A smile tugged involuntarily at her lips at the thought. Just then, the production staff came in to collect their phones. Grace Parker turned directly to Victoria Harper. I just got a DM matches message. I think it's from Ethan. Victoria Harper laughed aloud, replying smoothly even while holding a difficult yoga pose. Oh, really? Funny. I asked Ethan yesterday, and he specifically said he wouldn't be sending you one. The smile instantly vanished from Grace Parker's face, her lips pressing into a thin line. Victoria Harper hadn't expected to receive any messages herself, so after sending hers out, she'd simply put her phone aside without checking it again. Although she'd anticipated this outcome, she couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment. It looked like winning Ethan over was going to be a long road. After finishing her yoga, Victoria Harper wiped away her sweat and changed into pajamas. Unlike the revealing camisole she favored during the day, her sleepwear was surprisingly modest. Long pants and long sleeves, even in the sweltering heat. She would stop at nothing to win over the man she desired. Her figure, her skin, her beauty, these were assets readily visible. For Ethan, she was willing to flaunt them openly. More than just showing them off, she yearned for his touch. Deep down, a primal, almost predatory desire resided within her, a yearning to possess Ethan, to keep him close. She fantasized about stripping him bare, holding him tightly, their skin pressed together without a sliver of space, savoring his warmth, inhaling his scent. That would scare Ethan. Victoria closed her eyes, her body heating up as she thought of Ethan. She reached up, tracing her own neck, imagining the day she could sink her teeth into his throat. Olivia Bennett froze when she saw she'd received 2 messages. She'd half expected one from Christopher, but who was the second one from? It couldn't possibly be Ethan. She'd given him nothing but the cold shoulder, and besides, she was Amelia's best friend. It had to be Logan, but they'd barely interacted over the last couple of days. They hardly knew each other. What could he possibly have sent? Olivia Bennett opened the messages one by one. 1. You didn't seem like yourself today. Hope you can cheer up. This one was clearly from Christopher. His concern was palpable even in the text. 2. Nice job with the fire today. Keep it up. That tone. Ethan's face immediately flashed in Olivia Bennett's mind. That offhand, almost dismissive compliment. Who else could it be but him? Her composure, just moments before calm, tightened uncomfortably at these few words, like a fist clenching around her heart. Why would Ethan send her a message? Was he crazy? She was Amelia's friend, and she treated him so poorly today. Olivia Bennett chewed on her finger, pondering for a long time without understanding. She felt a confusing mix of anxiety and a strange flicker of pleasure, but panic quickly began to overshadow it. She remembered Amelia saying she'd be watching her every move in the Twitch chat. Olivia glanced nervously at the camera mounted in the room. Had Amelia seen Ethan's message to her already? Would she jump to conclusions? Ethan, in his private room, also received 2 messages. It was slightly unexpected but manageable. Grace Parker, you work hard today. Looking forward to going home. Victoria Harper, the stamina of youth. Bursting with boundless energy, it wasn't just his imagination. Victoria Harper's tone had been deliberately suggestive. Ethan had chosen Olivia Bennett precisely because he was certain she wouldn't engage with him. This way, he could safely fly under the radar until the end. Olivia Bennett had been cold towards him today, which pleased him. He hoped she'd keep up her obvious dislike. In another room, Christopher received a reply. Cooking together was fun. Good teamwork. It was clearly a friendly message. The only person he'd cooked with today was Olivia Bennett. Christopher's focus had always been Olivia Bennett, so simply getting a reply from her made him incredibly happy. In his room, Logan received no messages. He sighed, putting his phone down with a dejected look. Seeing Logan's dejection, Christopher's brow twitched. If Logan hadn't received any messages, that could only mean Ethan had gotten both of the remaining ones.